Yeah.
Yeah.
That way I can actually
Yeah,
that's what I was.
she's kind of becoming our audio engineer for this production because I'm trying to wear too many hats because I have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like last episode,
we need to do something like
we do.
You know what we need to do is like
We
get
need to
a
take
sheet.
those boards off.
Yeah, we need
and
and fix the wall.
fix the wall.
That's easy. But
Yeah.
then you know what we need to do
You want-
is
it wasn't big enough. It didn't look right.
well, no.
No, she wants to green screen it.
Yeah. Well, no. What I'm thinking is
If I can get a mural artist in
put
here.
well, I do know a mural artist, but do a like grommets across the top and get a sheet, like a king size sheet that would fit.
Well, no,
and we do like a JHP for your JHP ones and a P2.
Yeah, 2 different wallpapers. Yeah, I had the same idea on my Teespring shop for Pseudo Productions, and obviously like JHP would get thrown under that as well. Like they have wallpapers that are like long enough to go across the living room wall. So there are things out there. It's just the doing it and also worth doing in this house.
Or the other thing, here's another idea.
Yeah.
Is we paint this a better color because I think that's part of your problem is it's so muted.
Oh yeah.
Paint this and then do because I have a vinyl machine.
And do a bunch of vinyl stuff.
And do like get a board that has like again 2 like you have a screw hole there and a screw hole here that's not as obvious that's what we've done. And you just
you can see the top pieces are cut out of the shot right now at least.
Yeah.
Like when it gets to the wider shot for like 4 people, then it's kind of whatever.
Yeah, but it would look like it's a picture frame on the wall.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be I probably have the wood at my house right now that we could use
to do that. Oh, we have plenty of wood outside too to just look around with. Like it's all there. It's just we have to go to Austin at the end of the month and make either a decision to visit a second time for a fuller week or something like that, or to really.
Do you have the images? You're not recording right now, right? Like
we are.
This. Oh.
We're flying.
You'll delete this part off of it because
maybe.
Send me. Do you have the P2 like the Pseudo Productions?
Yeah, I have the logos and everything. Yeah.
Email me the logos.
Yeah.
Let me play with it. Because I can print up to 24 by 12.
Yeah.
Of each thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can get, like, a letter pretty big.
Oh, yeah.
And we could...
just frame a vinyl or something like that.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And almost like taking a picture frame on and off the wall. Boom. Yeah. And then you put it over here out of view, and then, boom, put,
Oh, yeah. No,
Nice and simple, but...
I've had that in mind, and the one thing I had in mind for a while...
Are you actually talking into the mic?
I should be. I am. Like, can you tell the difference between when I rotate my head here? Does the mic need to be rotated a bit?
That's what I was asking.
Is the gain
Do I need to
low?
be closer?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Alrighty, how's my levels and my gain on the mixer itself?
That's what I'm playing around with right now.
Okay, because
that's why I was asking if your mic was actually facing you.
Yeah,
and that's funny because his was actually closer than mine is.
Yeah, like I can put it like a little bit further out or whatnot. No. Not helping.
No.
That's weird.
Did you cut my low too low or too off, and now my low tones are not running through?
Nope.
That's a good. Then we have.
Keep talking.
Well, we'll just keep.
We
won't talk Doreen until she's got this.
Right. I appreciate that call. So no, what I also have actually, and it's cool, but it's only good for like a smaller set or like a photo shoot, is that the lighting set that I bought on Amazon years ago has one of those metal frames that you can just like screw together, whatnot, like tent stuff in a way.
Yeah.
And it came with a white screen and a black screen and a green screen, but it's not big enough.
Right.
And the frame is so cumbersome with 2 tripods that if I had a much more tighter, intimate set, the green screen and a black screen would work
fine.
But it's also kind of suddenly looking like at a whole fucking wall going, if you just paint the bitch.
Yeah, like I say we paint it, pick a color you want to paint it that would look good for production.
Yeah.
And then we'll do like a board, like maybe even just like the width of this table or whatever, so it'd be like from say here to like there.
Yeah.
And it would be like this, right?
Long rectangle.
Yeah, and we would have like a hole here and a hole here in the exact same place on both boards.
Yeah, and just easy notch up if you just hang it up.
And then we would have, the JHP.
Yeah.
And then the P2, or the full.
Yeah. Full names, whatnot.
And then
just rotate ideas.
Wherever you move, you already have them.
The signs ready to
go.
go.
The signs.
Yeah.
All you got to do is know where your screw holes go. And
yeah. Do you think those would need to be on posts, or was that good to hang on drywall?
They should be able to hang on drywall. Because you would use 2 anchors.
That right there has sort of tarnished me to always find posts to drill into.
No, so you use the anchors that
the
are
drywall anchors.
Yeah, that screw in.
Uh huh.
And that are like a certain weight.
Yeah.
And
weight class. I need to get more. See.
And we could even do 3 just to give it a third.
Third piece of weight distribution.
Yeah.
No, I need more time spent working with that kind of shit because I can cut drywall really well and fill in a hole. I get to putty that thing on the garage, but like hanging things on drywall, especially like having not frequently done the repair piece of just filling the hole, sanding it down, and repainting it.
Yeah.
That's actually where we were really signed up a couple months ago to like paint the outside of the house.
Yeah.
And then I realized that the only thing the HOA gave a shit about was like this leaky thing underneath the this leaky stain underneath the light in front of my garage on the front face top side of my garage.
Yeah.
I took a sponge and like Dawn soap and water out there, scrubbed it down, and emailed us, "Hey, are we good?" And like, "Oh yeah, we're good now." So I don't have to spend $500.
These are the best drywall anchors. They come in different weights.
Oh, okay.
So
and
you
they
can
just expand out.
Basically up to 75 pounds on that one.
Yeah. Screw.
Yeah,
just because it really takes over that space.
It literally screws into.
Yeah. See,
it becomes part of the drywall.
I had drywall. Like I said, I think they were really thin, shitty drywall anchors because if you can see it in the closet, there was one of those like minimalist desks that just attaches straight into the wall.
Yeah.
And it had like three holes in it with which to hang.
See, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's 98 cents a pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's best to buy and then there's also like these, where they're metal.
Yeah.
But most people use shit, I went too far. Hold on, give me a sec. These are like the cheap. Hold on, where's that total? I'm just gonna try and show you the shit ones that most people. Oh, I don't even see them. But the ones that come with like picture frames.
Uh-huh.
That they're like this big, and you put them. You drill the hole and you pop them in. Don't use those. Those are just total crap.
Shite.
Yeah. Get these.
I actually do have a bunch of movie posters as well sitting in my closet that I can hang up there too.
These are like, some of them are 50 pounds, some of them are 75 pounds. Oh, these are the ones. The ones like this.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
ever use those.
They just
fall
through.
Yeah.
Yeah, this bottom right ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any of those type, don't even waste your time with that type.
The metal one or the green one?
The greens, the blues,
ones?
the yellows.
Is that whole set? Half that set is a piece of shit, basically.
Yes. Total waste of money.
So your big thread white ones.
The big thread white ones is what you want to use.
Word.
Yeah, just always have a pack of them around the house, and that's what we use.
And you're a little too far away from the microphone now, but otherwise we're good.
Oh, I am?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had leaned back, so
yeah.
That
Keep
was
it a fist and don't be shy about moving the fucker around.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to hurt anything.
No. Well, most of the time I'm leaning forward, but I had...
We're very engaged talkers.
We are. It's the Solomon in us.
It really is.
Yeah. And actually, I have it both sides. Because the flex side, my dad's side, is just as much.
Oh, yeah. Well, your dad's is a talker as well.
He really is.
It's just he has that slight introvert tone of just like, warm me up just a little, and then we're flying.
Yeah. Like he's he doesn't talk all the time, but when he talks, you want to listen because you either are going to A, learn something, B, you're getting your butt chewed, and that's the one you don't want to see, or C, you're going to bust out laughing.
Right.
Because it's like you don't expect him to say something, and then all of a sudden he
just creeps it in there, and it's just like, well,
where the hell did that come from?
Done.
Yeah. Martin's the same way. So.
Oh yeah. As much as that fucking tax joke.
Yeah, because you're the tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm having to accept different burns now in this day and age.
Yeah.
Like small dick jokes out of like the Marine people I play with all the damn time. I'm just like, you know what? Kind of need to just roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because the day that friend Jacob was over with Rico.
Okay.
And realized.
Wait, his dog Rico?
Ryan's dog Rico.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Realized,
I love how there's like a trio of gay guys in your social circle and they just rotate who's taking care of this dog, basically.
Yeah. And we're gonna have the dog in like 2 weeks.
That dog rotates houses like a.
Yeah. But he realized that he was attached to Rico. Like that we're all attached to Rico.
I think we had that discussion at your birthday or something on iDrive.
Yeah.
Like Rico is who everyone cares about, and whoever has Rico is the tax.
Yeah.
How are we doing?
Are we is our
Are we
sound
sounding
good
crisp?
now?
We have crisp now.
Okay.
Do you want
Just,
do you want any waters?
If I lean back here, do you lose me?
Bring the thing with you.
But not too bad.
Bring the mic with you.
Well, yeah, I just because sometimes I just lean
grab
back
it
for a second and
grab
I don't think
grab
to grab
it.
it.
Grab it firmly.
Can you just attach it to like my neck so when I like move forward and backwards?
Lapel mics are wireless, well-working lapel mics are expensive and I think easily broken.
No, I was just saying like a stick that like
you just want a stick
as is it
that's
like,
that doesn't fully. It's got like a marshmallow on one end so it doesn't stab your boob while you go like
it or like it's like a.
You really need training wheels to just go about your life, don't you?
No, I'm not saying like a stick so it doesn't stab me. I'm saying like
a stick that that we attach
like,
to this.
It has like a hook that holds over here, and then it like slides
you
in,
need
and
a
then
shoulder
I can just
holster to hold the mic
to move the mic back and forth with me.
So so you're well captured.
Yes, and I don't have to think about grabbing the mic. And
this is where it becomes.
Does my bracelets make a lot of noise on that?
It'll be fine.
Like does that?
That might be it. Yeah.
Mel's over there laughing at us.
We'll be good.
Should we circle back to our like serious conversation
we're
having now?
Well, I'm gonna get a water actually.
Shh. That was loud.
It was quite loud, and this arm's a little in the way. Like this is how much movement I have right now.
Is this one you made with Nick?
With Nikki, yeah. That and that, both of those. Those are the two.
You made this one too?
Yeah, that is like running on a business idea too. To just have tell people I'm like, hey, I have all the equipment. Come on over, and I'll help you make a freaking train spike knife.
I found a train spike for Caleb at one time, but I have no idea. It probably got lost in a move somewhere.
Yeah.
In the house.
No.
It could be somewhere in the workshop, and I just don't know.
Yeah.
Where?
Well, in the workshop, you mean your garage, or?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
You're. Okay. Hi, welcome to the Jailhouse Parlor podcast. Real quick, we'll probably try to cut in now or something, but read the title. We have Sonya, my cousin, on for the beginning of this series, actually, for trying to remember, or at least doing our best to recall my mother. And any sort of stories about her that would paint her as Doreen instead of Mom, because that's a big transition we're aiming on, on account of like I've grown the fuck up a bit and we're transitioning away. But going into the garage discussion, because bullshitting around helps this flow, is that people either have garages or they have workstations or like workshops in their garage. And I grew up in my dad's garage, which meant that it was workbenches, tools, and motorbikes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Your dad's garage was...
It was monstrously fantastic.
But then you can also have a workshop that's...
Well, it's a separate building.
Yeah.
That's sort of what we're running on, like with our whole buy property, build up on it, is just have like separate buildings for stuff. Like,
yeah.
It's just, I hate where I live because I can't park on the street. Therefore, my garage has to be a carport.
Yes. Yes.
And that's where, like, you look at our garage, and it's kind of a tragedy because the workbench is so kind of clustered with shit that getting over there to organize it requires you to move a bunch of shit to get to it, to then organize it, and then barely get back and forth to it because there's 2 cars in the middle of the fucking thing and a bunch of wooden shit on the sides. So, like, that garage is stuffed. I just got, like, a 16-foot extension ladder, and it's just sitting on the side of the garage, and I'm hoping I don't run it over.
Yeah, and see, like something like that, you almost need to have hangers from the roof, or from the ceiling.
Well, I need to
the
step
roof.
I need to use the walls too.
Yeah,
I need-
you need to. Yeah, and see, that's what we've done.
Yeah.
Because see, being in the neighborhood that we're in, we don't have a lot of land.
Yeah.
And then
you gotta use every square inch.
And of course, when we moved in, I don't think. Well, yeah, you guys saw it because Mel helped us demo it.
Yeah.
You know, they had made it in a playroom.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but where ours is now a garage.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a workshop space in it. You know, we have a little bit, but I pull the you know, I'm helping someone reupholster a chair right now.
Yeah.
And I pull my car out. I work in the garage floor, and then when I'm done, I have to, you know, I ripped out staples and nails out of this chair, so it's like you got to make sure you clean it up because you don't want to end up with
a hole or some bullshit
in my brand spanking new tires.
Yeah.
No.
So you're reminding me of how bootstrappy I've gotten doing like minor woodwork, because like my dad got me like the Ryobi set, so I had like a circular saw, but I didn't get. And he had these, surprisingly enough, but collapsible wood sawhorses. Yeah. Because I knew I needed them forever, just for like, even when I was putting up so much plywood upstairs. So my impromptu wood horse saws was either my 2 small coolers from Publix. Yeah. Or 2 storage bins with the coolers on top to put the giant sheet of plywood on top, map it out and cut it out and hope I didn't like break shit.
We use the back of Martin's pickup truck a lot of times.
Like, that's good, yeah.
You know.
Well,
but, and see, we have the collapsible sawhorses.
Yeah.
You know, we have the clamp that holds it this way, and then you can slide the wood in this way. I have like 3 or 4 of those to be able to make, or 2 to 4 sets of those to be able to make, you know, at least 2 sawhorses, if not a third. But the wood's gotten used throughout the years too. Yeah. Like, you know, it's like you almost have to cut the wood and know this is the sawhorse, but then you have to store the wood.
I have. So what I have for the horses, it's literally like a metal triangle with like a 2x4 that's just nailed on top. That's like red. But it has metal legs that tuck underneath it.
Yes.
And so those fold out and you spread them and off you go.
See, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that's perfect.
Oh, it's,
you know,
it was impressive because Dad, I'd gone up to the property with Dad, and Dad has his sort of father figure up there, Wes, and he's like, "You need any tools?" Because Wes had given him a bunch of tools that old man wasn't using anymore, and I was like, "Sure." And it was like a copy of everything I needed plus a hammer drill. Actually, I was like, "Concrete work," and I asked him before that even began. I was like, "Do you have any collapsible sawhorses?" Because I knew that's what I had needed for like years now. And he's like, "Actually, yeah." So it was like perfect match.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's like literally the best way. Yeah. Well, I just went yesterday and bought an air compressor. I've wanted one for years.
Oh,
and I got a little portable, you know, 100 psi air compressor.
Yeah.
It's a little 3-gallon pancake one.
Yeah.
And a staple nail gun. You know, so it's just little bitty thing, but it'll work great for like, because the yellow couch in the front room, I want to reupholster that, and I always have to go get my dad's, and you know, and they use theirs all the time.
I think air compressors are really popular, but there's something about like the Solomon brand that comes with always having an air compressor for your fucking house. Like at Uncle Nicky's, like it's just, you clean out you clean everything with an air compressor basically. Like my work truck, I finally like went through like top to bottom. Like I now know pretty much 99% of the square inches of that fucking thing.
Yeah.
But I had to go over to my dad's shop and get out the hose and pull everything out of that thing and blow out so much dirt and sand and shit. And I'm just like,
I know. I made sure that we got the kit that had like, it has an extra hose in it, but it has like the you know, the blower and all that.
Well,
stuff.
You'll never have, like, Dad has that wand. Did you ever see that metal wand that he literally made? He got the regular attachment that pops in and out of the end, but he got this metal tube that he just, like, somehow screwed in or, like, welded in or some shit. And he
probably welded it to an end that'll pop in and, like...
Something like that, yeah. But the tip end of the tube is, like, clamped. Or at least got pressed down, so it's, like, a little slit. So when he gets into his cleaning, he's just got like a persistent flame just going.
Oh my god, I need to talk to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I actually talked to him.
That's a childhood tool for me, actually.
Yeah. I had talked to him the other day because he's going to paint my front bumper for me. And we were talking about welding.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you weld? And he's like, yeah. I was like, you got a welder? He's like, yeah. I was like, will you teach me? It's always been like a, you know, and I believe it was his dad.
Yeah.
My Uncle Chris, that was a welder.
Uh-huh.
I believe he was a welder. Like,
outside of being a postman or something like
that?
Yeah. Or Christopher. We have Christian and Christopher.
Christopher.
Okay.
His father.
Yeah.
Who I think also
was a welder.
I think he was a welder, but he also worked as a postman, if I remember right. But I don't remember.
Christian was the postman.
Christian was a postman.
For sure.
For years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't remember. But yeah, Christopher worked as a welder as well.
Yeah.
So
well, you could probably, I know Nikki has a plasma cutter.
Really?
Yeah, that's how I cut this out. I just grab like a bar of metal and just cut out sort of the frame pieces. The only reason we used the forge was just to extend here. The only reason we really used his forge was to actually because you can see the shape here on the camera, was to actually just, it was straight going out like that.
Yeah.
So we just threw the head in and then just banged it around till this shifted over. Otherwise the head would have been way over here.
Gotcha.
So we just sort of moved the head, I think, back this way a bit. And then it's grind forever.
Right.
The rest is just grinding and then, powder coat for the rest of it. So like,
does he have a powder coat too?
Yeah, he does powder coating. That's all he does. He doesn't have the steady hand my dad does to do the spray. My dad, I actually have analyzed it a little bit. When you're spraying as a professional auto body painter, you actually release at the end of whatever it is. So it's like a release and go back and forth. Like it's this interesting thing where there's no overspray on the edges where you'd cross over potentially.
Yeah, they know where to stop in order to get it to end where they want it to end.
It's like it's ridiculous. It's watching my dad work and just run his hands over things that he's like polying or putting plaster on or whatnot. Just watching like his hands just go over them is just its own way of communicating like just masterful craftsmanship. Even though he would never poeticize it like that. Most people wouldn't. And it's kind of where I looked at that and went, there's a great idea of like going and getting an education, but there's also something to be said about just being fucking good about what you do.
Well, that's the thing is they put so much emphasis on trade schools versus college.
Well, that's
when I was in school, trade schools were still popular, but so was college.
Yeah.
Right? But the generation that your dad is, because there's a difference in our age, trade school was still a very popular, almost more popular than college was.
Yeah.
And then as my generation came to it, they became almost equal.
Yeah.
And then past my generation, it became college.
Yeah.
Like your generation is college.
Sold hard on it.
Yeah. And now we're coming back to realizing, oh shit, we don't have the people to do the trades.
Well,
and so, because it's my generation that there's still trades, but it's your generation that you're all college.
And it's a waste.
And it's not, but it's oversaturated.
Exactly. That's a better.
It oversaturated. And so my generation, we were still pretty
balanced-ish.
Yeah.
Understanding hard, soft skill
differences. Yes. And because I'm sorry, not everyone is meant to go to college. And not everyone is meant to go to trade school. I am actually, I am a great blend of both.
Mm-hmm.
Which there needs to be more people like me.
Yeah.
That's
not self-indulgent at all.
No, I mean it in a good way. Yeah. Like not in a get my head big sort of way.
Yeah.
But I got out there. I told you I saw your dad the other day, and I got out there, and as a kid. Because how old's your dad? I think between me and you is almost the same age gap there is between your dad and I.
Yeah, because I was a 91 baby.
Yeah, and I think he is 12 or 13 years older than me.
Oh, recent conversation we had in regards to brownies is that gummies?
Yeah, I don't want gummies. I really like brownies better. I mean, gummies would be okay, but I really like brownies better. But anyways, your dad and I had this conversation, and I even had this conversation with my dad recently, is that I am capable of sitting at a computer all day, but I'm also capable of going out and physically doing the work. And so, like, in what I do for a living, I'm a hot commodity in that with like small time GCs.
Yeah.
Because they like the fact that I can do both, but I can do my job on the office side of it well because I understand this side of it.
Yeah.
It's like even...
Well, it's being able to do the computer and paperwork because you've already been on the floor.
Yes. Like, so you understand what you're filling out on the paperwork.
Well, that's where, like, this translates so easily into server life, into probably even factory life. It's because in the server world, like Steak and Shake's my example of, I was actually, my very, very first job was doing drive-thru at Steak and Shake.
Yeah.
And so you get a very interesting melding there of being the serving face, as well as the coordinating face, but you're also in the midst of the production line, and if you are actually driving towards lower times, good service, all that jazz, then you're kind of jumping into what production things can you do with food prep, shake prep, drink prep, cash prep that meets health code, helps the process along, and delivers everything you sort of need. So like you would see this massive divide between how production people worked and their mindset and their work ethic versus servers, because servers had, by that viewpoint, a much easier job, but they had a tip-based job. They had the low hourly, and they were high focus on customer service. So when I had a Steak and Shake manager, like the top manager of the whole building, when we had him and he had a service background, he got kicked out of the production line because it was readily recognized that he had no talent to do the burger flipping or the dressing, or he could maybe do like the drive-through talking, but he had not spent the time in a production situation or maybe even in a high demand mechanical service situation to even begin to hustle with our shift leaders.
Yeah, it's that cross train.
Yeah, it's a cross train.
It's a cross train, and it's like even Martin, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Martin graduated from high school in 1988.
Yeah,
but he didn't graduate from college till 1996.
Yeah,
multiple
and my dad's
reasons.
53, by the way, right now. He's 54 this April.
So he's 12 and a half years older than me.
Yeah.
Okay. So so almost the same age gap between him and I as there is between you and I.
Yeah.
Your birthday is
91, so I'm about to be 29.
October?
Yeah, so I'm 28 right now.
Yeah, so there's almost exactly 13 years.
You're the halfway point between my father and I.
Yeah, like literally, but like for Martin, for instance, is, it took him 8 years to get through college.
Yeah.
Part of that was because he joined the National Guard. Mm-hmm. So he had his guard duties that he, had to deal with, not deal with, but,
work through, get done, yada, yada.
Obligations.
Check marks.
And then, but also he worked in the field, so he would work and so he got like on the job training while also going to college. So in that aspect, he understands what those guys actually do out in the field.
Yeah.
As well as what,
is required on the paperwork.
What's required on the paperwork. While he does have the engineering degree, he knows how to do it out here.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that, even for college-based stuff now, should be important.
Yeah.
True apprenticeship.
Well, it's the difference between understanding how to order concrete and plan for concrete, and actually knowing what it takes to lay it.
Exactly.
When when you have that full framework, then you kind of can look at a piece of paper and then you get like 9 miles worth of information instead of just the letters on the sheet.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a shit show to become a project manager not ever having done the project before.
Exactly. You have to have that understanding, because otherwise, like you said, he's got the 9 miles. Otherwise, you have like the 3 miles.
We have a 4-year degree,
but yet you don't have, where's the other, you don't know how to get that last 6 miles. Or you know how to get this 3 miles and this 3 miles, but you miss something in the middle.
Yeah, or you have no idea how long that 8 miles will actually take.
Yes.
Especially when there's like extra little micro details in the project's execution that equates to like, instead of laying like a flat piece of concrete, you're doing steps. Well, how does that process adjust the time frame of the project? Like, does it change it exponentially, linearly? Does it just add on, another level of professionalism for just that?
Yeah.
How that execution plays out.
Exactly. Because doing a 6-foot sidewalk versus doing a 6-foot sidewalk with 3 steps, you can teach, figuring out how to do a 6-foot sidewalk is a lot easier than figuring out how to do those steps.
Here's a good culture question, and then we can try to refocus back. Do you think there is a cultural shift of people becoming too sort of paperwork smart, that they think they're smart, or they are trying to pronounce themselves as smart because they have the degrees, they know their paperwork mindset, but they never actually got their hands dirty, so they don't have the grimy real world knowledge? Yes. And so now we come to this world of kind of an entitled situation.
Yes.
And even more extreme political things or whatnot. So we have people that are educated, but they have never gotten their hands dirty, as some people would put it. So their knowledge is actually quite limited, but they've memorized the textbook and passed the test.
That's exactly it. It's a theoretical knowledge.
Yeah.
In theory,
yeah,
I read this book, therefore this should work.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll give you a perfect example of that, and I'm going to tell you 2 things, and then we'll circle back around.
Yeah.
The first thing is you have design engineers.
Yeah.
And these kind of go hand in hand. And my dad taught me this years ago. But you have design engineers. They draw out plans.
Yeah.
If they never go out in the field and look at how that plan is actually going to happen, or look at it for a constructability aspect, it's the same concept. Well, on paper it's going to work. Well, okay, so you've got this wall you're building, and you need to attach this beam here, but there's a wall right here, and you need to get a nut and a bolt here. But there's a wall here, and you're attaching to this wall, and you've only got this amount of space. How are you going to
secure,
how are you going to attach that to that with those 2 things? You can't get a tool in there. You can't hardly get the nut in there. So how do you do that?
Yeah.
So, you can have that in theory, this should work, but in practice, will it?
Yeah.
And so like that's what Martin does, is when he's handed a set of drawings, he's on a, yes, he is an engineer. He can design. He doesn't have his PE, but he could go get his PE and he could design, but he doesn't. He looks at it from, can you build it? Can you take this drawings and can you build it?
Does he prefer to be a book critic instead of a book writer?
He prefers to be a book builder. He prefers to go out and build what's on those drawings. So right now, he has a civil engineering degree. If they back then had offered what they would consider more of a construction manager degree, which they actually have now.
Yeah.
And that's those guys who actually take the plans and go out and build it.
Yeah.
That's what he would have done.
Yeah.
Because he never ever wanted to design. He never wanted to sit.
He's not a thinker type. He's not a sit there and creatively go about things.
He's a thinker type in the
creative problem solving.
Yes.
As opposed to just creatively.
And so my dad taught me this years ago, and actually it kind of came into play when Martin and I started dating, was, working at Disney for all those years. Your Imagineers are engineers, they're designers.
Yeah.
And they look at it and they say, okay, we need to do X, Y, and Z to build this.
Yeah.
And my dad would be like, he's more on the Martin side going, well, yeah, on paper that's going to work, but in reality, it's not going to work because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, yeah.
So whenever a engineer would come out to the field to walk the job with my dad to look at it, he would look at their shoes.
Yeah. If they're dirty.
He had a lot of respect for them, because that meant that as they designed they also got out and looked.
Yeah.
If they were shiny clean,
Uh-huh.
he basically tuned them out because he knew they weren't going to listen to him, because they're that person that's going to go, well, on paper,
Yeah.
this works. You know, just like you have psychologists or psychiatrists. You have the ones who learn from experiences, and then you have the ones that say, well, according to the book and according to studies.
Yeah.
So you have that in all things that you do. And so, you know, I think now we circle back to your mom. I think that's actually how your mom got her
my mom
education.
My mom had the masterful thing of being involved in so many different freaking things to where no one could really match her, and no one could really like go to bat and outbat her average, just because she had her background, like her hobby background of doing horseback riding.
Yeah.
So, and that's its own tough and tumble, and working with an animal and being like empathetic to something you can't talk to.
Yeah.
And cleaning up that shit show, the food, the organization of the hay, the cleaning, the maintenance of equipment.
Taking care of animals, but especially horses,
large animals,
builds a different character.
Oh, it does.
And a different work ethic.
Well, I've been able to identify, or at least like have some small connection when I meet women who actually have a regular interaction with horses, because that's a different level of like it's leather. Like there's something about them that smells or feels like leather.
Yeah.
And that it can be beautifully crafted. And
they're hardened, but like leather, you can mold it. You can,
And so so she has that background with that, because she was the girl that was like doing horseback riding during homecoming. She didn't give a fudge about no disco ball and lights and stuff like that.
No.
But when it came to like the professional side of it, like this is where in this series, like tracking down the people that worked in the lab out in Tampa or whatnot is on the list of just like, what was your experience working here professionally, and also whatever friendly aspects go into that, because she either did the lab work or understood that there was a complexity to that lab work that was outside of her knowledge base, and she did what is not very popular these days and actually trusted the expert's opinion on it. So Mom, between having a cleaning business, running horses,
I remember that,
having done licensed optician work,
and see, with her optician work, if I remember right, because again, you're going off of a
20 plus year
gap here, is because I remember she worked, I think it was like at Pearl Vision, and she
back in the day,
and she started off as like almost a lab assistant, and then she worked her way, like she went and did she worked
ground up,
education work,
yep.
And so she had that base and then continued to build off of it until she ultimately became, a very respected in her field, especially around the Central Florida area.
Oh yeah. No, we had, we were invited out, myself, my aunt, my grandmother, uncle, Melanie was there at the time before we started dating. We were invited out to like their conference or whatnot out in Daytona. And it was very apparent because it was probably a few months after Mom had passed. So it was probably August, and it was May that she passed back in 2016 area, that we went, and they were having their seminar, their whatnot, and, the whole ballroom sort of filled with like a couple hundred people probably. And it was very apparent they needed us more than we needed them.
Yeah.
For some of those,
because there was a whole, she left a lot of holes.
Oh yeah.
You
it's very apparent looking at my family, looking at the extended family, like looking at my dad's side of the family and my mom's side of the family, and sort of the holes that Mom left there. One side obviously would be bigger than the other, because she would appear to have been a very big cornerstone for my mom, for her side of the family, for that side of my family.
And she, when your mom and dad divorced, I still don't know what happened, because by that point,
like what led to it,
and everything else, and I don't care. I just know that when they divorced, they still loved each other very much, know, and and I believe they were always meant to be together, But
that is actually one of the most popular opinions
yeah,
across the board.
They literally were meant to be together.
Yeah.
You know, but
unfortunately,
yeah,
things
and
played out differently.
it did, you know, but they divorced in a way that they were still very amicable.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
they were,
and they co-parented very well. But you know, your dad, I know he loves you. I know he's not the most engaging dad. You know, like he's not a Martin.
yeah, but like if you try to look at that generation, most of them aren't that engaging
No,
of parents
but
in a way.
he also, you know, he had a disadvantage. You know, while Uncle Chris he was a good dad to him.
Yeah.
He's a good granddad to you.
Yeah.
He wasn't his dad.
Yeah.
You know, there was a big hole that was left there.
Yeah.
You know, I never met the man, and there was a big hole left for me
when Christopher passed.
Because there was a hole left in our family.
Yeah.
You know, because my Situ lost 2 sons like that. In
Yeah.
2 years, she lost 2 sons.
She lost Christopher
and she lost Michael.
Yeah.
You know, in 2 years to 2 tragic accidents. So there's always been that hole in our family.
Yeah.
But, you know, when your mom and dad divorced, I loved your mom from the first time I met her. I mean,
there's something powerful, like in trying to recollect it, but there's something about my mother that was incredibly powerful.
She had a presence.
Oh yeah.
She had a presence, and she could command a room, but not in a
tyrannical way.
No.
But she was in charge.
Yeah, and she could, you know, and I always looked up to her, and you know, emulated is not the word.
Do you have so let's run this section. Let's go a little chronological.
Okay.
First day you meet her. How old are you? And run around either the play-by-play or the emotional.
So your mom has been a part of our family for longer than my memories go back.
Yeah.
Because my
parents were dating when before my dad graduated high school.
Yeah, I think he was like 15 or 16. And so think about
and my mom's 7 years older, so it's like 18 to 25.
7? I couldn't remember if it was 7 or 10. So he was 15, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he was 15, do the math, I was 2.
Mm-hmm.
So your mom has always been there for me.
Yeah.
Like always been. There was not like, so I don't have a first time meeting her.
Yeah, because you were 2 or whatnot.
Yeah.
And all that.
But where my memories really
start
with your mom would have been around their wedding.
Uh-huh.
I remember their wedding. I think I was in their wedding. Keith and I both were in their wedding.
I have the photo album.
I think I was in her wedding. I remember the wedding was at a park. Because again, you're going off of little kid memories.
I have the photo album like in the closet.
Yeah,
right
like I think I was. Do you remember what year they got married? I don't remember, but you know,
late 80s. Because like they were together a few years, and then I was born in 91, if I remember correctly.
They were married. See, I feel like I was somewhere between 7 and 10 when they got married. Because do you have the photo album handy?
Yeah, it's in the closet.
Get it, because I can tell you around my age by who was in those pictures. But I remember it was like at a park outside. And there were steps. They were these long steps that we had to walk down to get there. And yeah, I'm trying to remember. Because if Jiddu was still alive, I'll know how old I was. Because I know how old I was when he passed away. Hold on. Aaron has stepped away to get the photo album. I feel like I'm talking to myself now. Just so there's not blank space on the video. Should we pause the video? I hope you get rid of this blank space out of this.
He won't.
I know.
Now is a great time to eat almonds, though.
Oh, I can crunch in the microphone. Because Mel is amazing. She got me salt and vinegar almonds. They're so yummy. You want some? Need help?
He's probably digging.
He probably is. I just heard a yes from the other room.
I don't know if that was a yes, he needs help, or a yes, he found it.
I don't know either. It was just a yes. I don't even know if you can hear me when I'm yelling at her. Oh, there's a no wait. I'm giving a play-by-play because I'm in here on this podcast all by myself. Alright. I'm going to do it this way so we can get past that.
Yeah, watch out, they're sliding out.
Yeah, it's the...
Laminate doesn't stick like it used to.
No. She was so young in these. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let's see.
I remember hearing it was a garden. It wasn't Lou Gardens, but it was nearby.
Yeah, it wasn't... Yeah,
I know it's noted. It's noted somewhere in there.
If I was in this wedding or just there. I remember the here. Okay. I remember it was at the Zampella's.
Yeah, because that was when Dad and them was still close, and Zampella wasn't down on the dumps yet.
Yeah, and we had decorated. I remember we had all come together, and we had decorated the garage. It was like this huge garage, and there was a we had a helium tank that we were blowing up the helium. And so once we got all the things blown up, we were sucking the helium. And we had ordered pizza, and we were eating the pizza like while we were decorating. And
oh yeah,
yeah. So, but yeah, I remember the scene. Yeah, so this was not. I couldn't remember. I just remembered a lot about this wedding. I don't even remember who that is.
I bet that's Patrick or Chris.
Yeah.
It's probably Patrick, my cousin, on Mom's side. I don't know why the Ziplo's there.
88. So I would have been 10.
Yeah. That plays out about right.
Yeah. So.
But you didn't even spot yourself in any of that?
No.
I know there's a lot more photos hanging out somewhere else.
Yeah.
Either probably
there's some
batched in here
probably
or something
in
like
here.
That. Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, see, I see Aunt Janet, and I see Steven in these. And so that was at my mom and dad's house. That was one of her showers.
I'm going to do like a basic like vocabulary breakdown episode to try to just define like all the family trees. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
We're getting all toilet papered up like a mummy.
Yeah.
Oh, and these are all upside down now. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's the garage. There's your garage shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's Aunt Nancy right there.
Oh, yeah.
In that one. And, but yeah, this is 1988. Oh my God, I remember phones like that.
Yeah. That's that I remember. That's the photo I found and I featured in the eulogy. Actually,
That was hysterical.
oh yeah. For those, well, we'll see if I'm gonna do a lot of posts on this, but it's the classic. Look up Budweiser beer can telephone.
That's me. Right there.
Oh wait, tiny skinny you in the white.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah. Because this was at my mom and dad's
You had a
house.
ponytail and stuff.
Shower was at.
Either it's the lighting in this, but your knees do look weird in this.
Yeah. Because it would have been before I had surgery.
Yeah, they look big.
Yeah.
Your knees look big.
Yeah.
Wedding shower. Cena Nancy Darlene. From Cena Nancy Darlene. Yep.
August of 88. So my Jiddu died in November of 88.
Mm-hmm. A lot of going on then.
Yeah. So I would have been 9.
So that's when
I would have been almost 10 here.
So that's when the Jiddu died.
Yeah.
Like, is that Nispels or
Nispels.
Yeah, because he's the original immigrant. Is it him or is it a generation before that?
His dad.
His dad was the original.
His dad was the original. But yeah.
Because that's what I'm needing to get your mom on here for, is to actually do a full family history.
Yeah. And
on our side.
Yeah. So Jiddu and Situ, which would have been your great grandparents, their parents came through.
They came from Syria.
Ellis Island.
Yeah.
I think they both actually came through Beirut. Jiddu's family came from Homs, Syria. And Situ's came from Lebanon. I don't remember the town name.
Yeah.
But they came through Lebanon. But at that time, Lebanon was still a part of Syria.
Yeah.
So while we say we're Syrian and Lebanese, technically we're Syrian.
Yeah.
In terms of
state lines and stuff.
Census and that kind of stuff, we are Syrian.
Yeah.
Because they didn't split until after his family came through Ellis Island and settled in Connecticut, I believe.
Yeah.
And then her family they actually crossed the border into Canada and settled in St. Catharines, Canada. And then she is what you would call a 5-cent immigrant. And she came over on the 5-cent ferry that went from that area to Detroit.
Yeah.
And Jiddu, your great Jiddu, was working in Detroit at the time on a factory, and that's when they met. And then I want to say, and I don't remember, but Michael, George, Chris, and Nancy, I believe, were all born either in Detroit or in Connecticut. I don't remember.
Okay.
And then Mom and Aunt Darlene were born here in Florida. The house that Darlene lives in, that they have lived there their entire lives.
Yeah. That's its own big heirloom and whatnot.
Yeah.
Was that back porch and stuff and all that out back? Was that built then, or was that there with the house when you bought it?
I think Jiddu built all that.
That's what I expected.
Yeah, I think the house was there, and then he built the shed and built that patio. Yeah. And years ago, that patio, it actually had a roof over. Like, basically, there was like a flat roof that connected that workshop to the house. Yeah. And in one of the hurricanes, it fell. And they just didn't see the point in putting it back up because it would, And I don't remember if it was like a hurricane like Hurricane Donna back in the 50s. Yeah. Or if it was like later. I don't have a memory of it being covered. Like, there's parts of me that thinks there's a memory of it being covered, but
imaginated out.
Yeah, it could be imaginated out, or it could be real. I don't know.
No. Sometimes you misremember things easily.
Yeah.
Especially with suggestion.
I remember with your mom and dad's wedding, I remember decorating the hall.
Mm-hmm.
The garage.
Right.
I mean, but it was like the size of a hall.
Well, the photographs we were just showing, you could still, like, the walls don't even have any plaster or paint on
we
it.
did,
like, you could see the cinder blocks.
Yeah, we did sheets up to, like, eye level.
Yeah, no, there's photos of that where, like, it's pictures of mom and dad, and there's a very obvious framed white sheet just sitting in the background.
Yeah, we did a bunch of framed white sheets because there were workbenches and everything. Yeah. And then we had tables, and we decorated the tables.
It's a very blue-collar wedding. It's
very, very.
Blue-collar.
Yeah, and there were probably several hundred people there.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense for both sides.
Probably did it for, just a few $1,000s.
Yeah. If that.
They probably cooked most of the food, and...
That's where... So, we just were at a wedding for a good friend of mine and his wife out in Dade City.
Yeah.
And they had hamburgers. They had a hamburger set up for it, but it was like catered hamburger. And so all the hamburgers were like just cooked previously and then steamed to like keep temp. And so, sorry guys, it was not that good.
No.
Like the food was not that good. And I'm sitting there thinking about like...
Hamburgers is not something that you can keep warm without drying out.
Well, no, it just made me sit there and go like look, talking to Melanie, because like we have a very good chemistry of just people watching, just shit talking away, like whatever we're seeing and dealing with. And the wedding was like fantastic, like top to bottom. It's just we sat there and looked at the food situation and went, I would almost sooner ask certain people that I know cook well, like, would you like to be a lead cook at the wedding? Like get your own grill or your own whatever.
Yeah.
Throw you in a corner and you get to make whatever the fuck you want to make. So I literally look at like the entire, because if we get the big dream party idea like I'd want, then it's here's who's cooking where and what.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Yeah.
Because I would almost like, I miss reading, or I love reading about festivals and stuff like that go for days. Like celebrations that last a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know like current lifestyles and vacation series and stuff like that. But I kind of look at going like having a multi-day celebration for the wedding for like everyone to have their rotations in, to have a much more laid back situation.
Almost like when you go camping and you're like, you do like a progressive, oh, what are you guys eating over here? What are you eating over here?
Yeah,
and you just, everybody brings something that potluck where, everybody brings something they enjoy, and then you eat a little bit of everything.
Well, that's the play I do for the October annual, but it's also kind of that right there sounds like a festival or a burn. As I haven't been to a burn yet, but I know like I went to Okeechobee Music Festival, like the very first one, and there's something to be said about being able to walk around and ask people like, what are you drinking, smoking, eating? And you could probably get something free out of it because it's such a giving environment situation. So I think that's it's a different logistical thing to get something that's much more on purpose than happenstance like it would be at a festival. Because all your so I just looked at that and went, if you nail the food, and I know this is true like period anywhere, if you nail the food, especially the entree part of the event's going to kick like nothing else.
Yeah.
Like I did enough small parties at my apartment, or I've been to enough events where all they have is snack food. All they have is like desserts and appetizers. There's no like lasagna or steak or ribs or chicken or, pulled pork. There's not a entree. And so I always prioritize that. People will always bring like a little snack food bullshit, and you can have none of that, and everyone will be happy with just if they can land like a really good full meal. If you can make sure that your guests get quality full meals at your event, the rest doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, you have a party with, little snacky things.
Yeah.
But bake a ham.
Yeah.
A big ham, and that way, you're still getting, or do a pork shoulder, with
slow
rolls.
Cook it. Yeah, slow cook it.
And something. You just tear it apart. Because, see, that's something that can, because it's sitting in its own juices and its own,
like
it keeps it. Yeah, it keeps it moist.
Yeah.
You just
dole it out.
Yeah, and then if you have, your buffalo chicken dips and your, you know, all your little side
Chips and
snackies,
stuff. Yeah.
it still feels like you had a meal because you had a good meat to get you there.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
No.
I agree with you. That's why, like, even if I say heavy hors d'oeuvres, like, still do like a ham or pork shoulder
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
and it's good, you know.
Huh. So, trying to wrap this background because I'm trying to think of. I don't think my mom actually was one for hosting events. I think the only reason I think the hosting and the eventing stuff comes from my dad's side.
Yeah, most of the
She
time,
could compliment it, but
yes, she would come and help and jump in, and
yeah,
you know. But your mom worked a lot, you know, and so she,
kennel dogs in the backyard,
yeah,
cleaning business, licensed optician.
yeah, she did it, you know, even in her hobbies with the horses and everything else, you know, and so she, for family, like, meals and dinners and stuff, you know, her family was always invited too. Like,
Yeah.
your family came, and
Yeah.
one of your aunts came once or twice,
Yeah.
and but yeah, she usually came and she would help set up and she would help clean up,
Yeah.
you know,
Front
and
to back.
she would bring something small, but that was usually what she was more of, you know, help put it together, help take it apart type thing. Does what?
I know. Melanie's sending me notes.
Oh.
So I talk less and interrupt less.
Oh. We interrupt each other, so we're good.
This is also true, but it was a distinct problem in the last podcast. And I've actually spent enough time now where I've actually listened to my own podcasts, and I had one that I was listening to and I kept skipping ahead. I'd even drag the fucking thing and I was still talking.
Gotcha.
And I was like, okay, I think that's permissible, but you know how sometimes certain people, you can say to them, you'd like to hear yourself talk, don't you? And I'm probably one of those people that's probably gotten that line thrown at them a couple times. And I can now say with certainty, I don't like to hear myself talk.
You've gone back and listened to yourself talk and realized you don't like to hear it.
No, I don't. It's interesting actually if you go back and listen to podcasts that you've been on, is that you actually find yourself about to say or know what you're about to say. It's not like the perfect recollection of a script. It's someone says something and it spawns a reaction in your head as a listener, and then you hear yourself say it on the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's there's nothing new happening unless like you finally hear it a different way, and it's like, oh, I get to absorb that actually better as a full-on listener with no ability to comment or be an active part of the experience.
Right.
It's just it's I just sat there listening and went, I didn't even finish that episode. I think I got halfway through it and I saw that I talked for like 20 minutes straight or something.
Now, are we live streaming right now?
Yeah, we're live streaming right now on the Jailhouse Parlor.
So in theory, someone could be listening to us right now.
Yeah, we might even have one right now.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have like 2 people that are actually constant viewers.
Oh.
Whatever. We have either way. Whatever.
Okay, so it's her listening right now because she has it set as private. She said.
Well, she has it private, so it's probably not being broadcasted. All I need is just to make sure I have a backup in case the computer takes a shit.
Right.
Because I would really
that would be bad.
It's been a rough month.
Yeah, that would be bad.
This month has been rough for several reasons, but
yeah, that would be bad. But but you know, circling back to your mom, you know, oldest memory of hers probably the wedding-ish, you know. And I don't chronologically my memories, I couldn't say.
It's scattered.
You know, but probably my next memory of her is going and riding horses with her.
Yeah.
You know, I would go as often as she could take me.
Yeah.
You know, I rode with her several times. I enjoyed it. I do remember one time we were out riding and we were on a trail somewhere and she goes, okay, we're going to jump this log. I was like, okay, not really thinking that like literally we were going to jump the log. Like I thought we were going to like
step the horses over.
Walk over it, you know, and I was on the horse with her.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
Okay.
What's your age range? Like young
7 to 10.
7 to 10. Okay.
Yeah, 7
Yeah.
to 10.
Yeah.
You know, so it could have been before the wedding, could have been after the wedding.
Yeah,
I might
yeah.
have been 11. I
Yeah, but
said, really don't remember.
older kid.
Yeah.
Older kid.
Yeah. Old enough, but still little enough.
Like a preteen.
Yeah, still little enough that I could ride with her and it didn't hurt the horse.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, I was always little. I was tall, but I was little.
Yeah.
I didn't weigh a lot.
String bean.
Yes. And so anyways, we go to. She goes, hold on to me tight, and I was like, okay. So I'm holding on to her tight, and then I didn't have stirrups or anything.
Yeah.
So it was just like
Yeet.
clenching your thighs into the horse, and she literally jumped the log, and so it scared the crap out of me. And then, hold on, I had to adjust my legs. Then we're moving along, and the horse spooked.
Oh, jeez.
So it went one way, and we were supposed to be heading a different way, and it was probably a snake or something.
Yeah.
So she got us. It didn't throw us off or anything, and got us settled and everything. And she's like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah." But I literally was like,
just.
I'm pretty sure I left finger marks on your mom holding on to her because it was, And then now when we went back over the same log, because we would like ride this trail out, and then you'd turn around and we'd
ride it back. Yeah.
Ride it back. So when we jumped it the second time, I was okay. Because I knew that's what we were doing and I knew what to expect. But man, that first jump over, it was like, oh my God, what'd you just do?
I'm recalling it now, like the feeling of that horse jumping something is just alert.
You literally felt like your belly, like your stomach had dropped out, and then like you didn't even go back and pick it up. It was still back over here.
Oh, yeah.
At the log.
Well, it's something to feel like the actual full power of the horse actually coming to life, because for a lot of the time in the early stages of riding a horse, it's just walk, trot, maybe gallop. But feeling that horse jump is its own just steel riding up like.
And she might not even told me we were going to jump. Like, I think she might have even just said, we've got to get over that log. And in my head, we're going to walk over this log. Like,
we're going to go get some eggs at the store.
Right? Like, if you and I were walking along, we would, like, walk over the log. And the next thing I know, we're jumping over the log. And it was like, what the heck was that?
Gosh. It's probably some peas and carrot basic stuff. And
then the next, like, memory I have with her as it comes to the horse is the horse had gone, and I don't remember the horse's name. Like, for some reason, Penny sticks in my head, but I know that wasn't it. But I really...
She had Cloud up until I was in, like, early middle school, and she had to let him go after the divorce, basically, and give him over to...
I think it was before that one.
Yeah.
I don't think it was... But anyways, I remember the horse getting sick. And them thinking they were going to have to put it down. And I said, well, how are they going to do that? Thinking that they would just, like...
tranquilize it, or...
Yeah. And they're like, oh, well, they'll shoot it in the head. And I was like, literally that dead silence. That was my life experience. And I was like, well, who will shoot it in the head? And they were like, well, either Aaron or Doreen. And I don't remember if they ended up having to do that or not. Your dad could answer that.
Yeah.
But in my head, that was very traumatic to me. Like, my God.
I think Larry the Cable Guy helped soften the blow a little bit on that kind of joke. I can't even recall his joke on it. I think I remember hearing about, like, putting a horse down or because I
really felt like they put that horse down.
They probably did. I mean, all in all, like, that's the play. But like
and crying.
them telling you we're gonna shoot it in the head is, I think, it feels like it's a too specific.
Right? Like they could have just said we had to put the horse down.
Yeah.
But then again, I asked the question, so asked and answered.
Well, the other sort of version of that I know, either put the horse down might have been the first version of we have to, like, lay the animal to rest, but, like, we have to shoot the horse. And I think that general broad statement, it feels like they body shot it instead of blowing its brains out, which feels so much better for some reason.
Yeah.
Even though the end goal is to kill the horse.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of sitting there going, like, because I think kids are treated way too softly
I agree. And I never really was. I mean, I was, but I wasn't. You know,
yeah. Well, you have to. I think trauma is being lauded way too easily.
Yes.
It's like trauma builds character. It's just
does.
trauma with support.
Ding,
So
ding.
please give me a traumatic experience with a loving, supportive family in behind.
Yes.
And then when it comes to like being an adult and having to put my dog down or put a rat or deal with traumatic situations.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like telling a kid, "Oh, we took the dog to a farm."
Yeah, and then they're like,
so in your head, that dog is still living at that farm running around, when in reality, it's probably in a hole in your backyard.
Yeah.
My parents never did that with me, and I will never do that with my children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I am going to tell them, you know, but that was also my first experience with don't ask a question
you don't want the answer.
I don't want the answer to.
Yeah.
You know, and it also taught me, don't ask me a question you don't want an answer to, because I learned honesty from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same thing. Like, you know, you tell me a secret, I'm not going to tell your secret, but I'm also not going to lie to you. Like, say you tell me, and now this is totally just out there, but say, oh my God, I cheated on Mel.
Yeah.
Okay. And you told me that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to run to Mel and tell her that you cheated on her.
Yeah.
But if she came to me and says, did Aaron cheat on me? I'm not necessarily going to say yes, but I am going to say, you need to speak to Aaron.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I actually orchestrated a breakup on that principle. I actually sort of discovered that principle on my own in high school. I was friends with both halves of the relationship. Mm-hmm. But I'd walk home with him like most days of the week. So me and Eddie's his name. Me and Eddie, we just got to just hang out and chat a lot of the time. But I got to see his love for, let's say her name's Shelby. Mm-hmm. I just got to see that relationship blossom and stuff like that. But then I got to see where old demons of another girl basically like came about, and old fantasies sort of started plaguing. And I basically, he told me where he was at emotionally in terms of just this crisis. And I basically like made him be honest about it. I was like, no, this is where you are. And so I told him, you have 40, I think either before or after, but somewhere in a span of time, Shelby confronted me and is like, where's Eddie at? Like emotionally, like, you know something. I know you do. But somewhere in there, before probably she even told me that, I told him, you have 48 hours to tell her, or I will. Mm-hmm. On account of, this is a real thing. And frankly, as like your good friend of both of you, I'm not going to let you burden me with knowledge that like I should take on as like a friend of yours, but it's in contrast to her interest.
Yep.
So when she confronted me in like the 2 days that he kind of took, and she confronted me, I was like, you need to talk to Eddie, because like it's not my place to say these things.
Yeah.
And you know, he did the right thing and everything like that. And I think they're still like acquaintancy friendly, and even after that per se.
And see, I would do the same thing if, you know, Mel came to me, you know, and I said, you need to go talk to Aaron. I would then come to you and say, okay,
she's on her way.
Mel came to me. This is what I've done. Now, you know, if it's just you know, like something that's not necessarily going to hurt her, I'm not going to come to you and say, okay, you need to fess up. But if it's something like, yeah, I'm going to tell you, you know, I have a really good friend of mine right now that's going through something. Mm-hmm. And, you know, something bad happened with her. Mm-hmm. And it caused negativity for her husband.
Yeah.
And so, you know, her husband felt alone in what he was dealing with and didn't feel like he had friends. And of course, I know everything from her. And so she told him, reach out to Sonya.
Yeah.
She will help you work through it, because, you know, she's not necessarily, if I've done something wrong, she's not going to be on my side. She's going to tell me, you've done this wrong and you need to fix it.
Yeah.
But she'll also tell you, you know, and I'm really good at playing devil's advocate with things too. You know, if you did something wrong, I'm not going to take your side. Mm-hmm. You know, I love you, but I'm not going to take your side. And by the way, everyone, Aaron did not cheat on Mel. It was hypothetical. But, you know, I'm very good at being there for both sides, mm-hmm. and not telling this side's secret. to this side.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, but going back to your mom with the horse, you know, I'm pretty sure they did put that horse down. But I blocked that memory out because
Well, you're not going to be there for that event.
no, I
Yeah.
wasn't, you know, and so that's why I don't like. I remember all of this, you know, and then the next memories I have are her being pregnant with you,
Yeah.
her having you, and then after she had you, you know, I only got to really see them at holidays and stuff because, you know, we were busy in school, she was busy with you. Then I got to a point where, you know, I went off to college, and then I came back, and then, you know, my ex-husband and I got married, and the next real definitive memory I have of your mom was when Situ had gotten sick, and Aunt Darlene and Uncle Mark just thought she was dehydrated from having a cold.
Yeah.
They called the ambulance, and the ambulance came and got Situ and took her to the hospital, and she was dehydrated, you know, so we all thought they'll rehydrate her and she'll get to come home, but unfortunately she was 86 years old, and she went septic, and they, you know, she ended up going into a coma, and they had a breathing
apparatus mask
on her because she was she didn't want life-saving measures, so we didn't trach her, we didn't do any of that kind of stuff, and or not trach her, intubate her. Sorry, stuff with Uncle Mark is still in my brain, but anyways, you know, they never intubated her, but they gave her a mask to help. Well, her face, she was so little, you know. I don't know if you really have many memories of
I have
her.
a memory of her face.
Yeah.
I have a few memories.
You know, she was like 5'1".
She was big to me.
Yes, but to me, she was very little.
Yeah.
And she had a little, this area of her face was real little. And the mask they had for her was, you know, it was an adult mask, but it was a small adult mask, but it kept sliding down, and then it would almost suffocate her because it would cover her nose and not fully give her, you know, and Aunt Nancy was still out in Utah trying to get back, and Martha was actually coming with her. Our cousin Martha was coming with her, and we had kept telling her, you need to get here, you need to get here. And, you know, it was a couple days into this, and we were all taking turns being there, so someone was always in the room with her. And we were all in the, you know, it was the ICU waiting room, and your mom was actually back there with her. And I was going back there, like, to relieve your mom and check on her.
How old were you at the time?
21.
Oh, wow.
21.
Okay.
I had just gotten married in February. This was May.
Okay.
Right after Mother's Day. And I think this wasn't long before they got divorced. Like, this is my last real memory of them before the divorce. Because I want to say they got divorced right after while I was in Atlanta.
I was 4 or 5 when they got divorced. So that's like about 96 maybe?
No, this was 2000. This was 2000.
No, I was in 5th grade, so I was 10. So it's 2001 area.
Yeah, so this was right before.
2002 area.
Because this was May of 2000.
Yeah.
And I was going back to the room, and you know, and I was getting frustrated because I felt like at this point we were keeping her on this oxygen and just till Nancy could get there. And while I love my Aunt Nancy, she's selfish and she's self-centered. And in my head, she'd had enough time to get there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, and in the meantime, I was also dealing with the fact that my brother had been brought in for attempted suicide.
Yeah.
And was upstairs, you know, handcuffed to a bed. And I was walking back to the room, and your mom was coming out of the room.
Yeah.
And she looked at me, and I looked at her, and it was like we literally had a full conversation.
In a moment.
Yeah. And she looked at me, and she says, "You have to say it. Your blood. I'm just an in-law."
Yeah.
And I knew exactly what she was saying to me. And it was because we were so tired. Her and I were the ones who had been back there with her a lot of the time, fixing the mask and everything else to give, Aunt Darlene and Uncle George and Mom some breaks. And I turned around, went back out to the waiting room, and said to everyone, I was like, enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
You are keeping her alive for y'all right now, not for her.
Yeah.
And that was the last real immediate moment that I had with your mom.
Yeah.
But to me, that was who she was.
Yeah.
The protector, the love, But
the hard principle.
Yes.
Hard principles.
Says the hard things that nobody else wants to hear, nobody else wants to say.
Yeah.
And I've always been that too. Like,
it's if you realize that something is being unspoken, it needs to be said.
Yeah.
And the most heroic person is going to do that, or scared. Well, either way, you can immortalize that how you want. But,
yeah. But that's, and then after that, that was May.
2001, 2002 area.
2000, May of 2000. Because I got married to Kevin in February of 2000. That was May 2000. It was after Mother's Day. It was around the 20. The 20 something, and then that just November, basically right after Thanksgiving, that November, December is when I moved to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I knew, they had divorced.
Yeah.
And then I got a card from her up there, and she was married to Joe.
Yeah, a couple years. 2005, they married. May 5th, 2005.
Yeah. And I talked to her on the phone once, told her, I missed her and I loved her. And, and then I remember hearing that they had divorced.
About 5 years later.
Yeah. And then when I moved back, then, I got on Facebook, and then she got on Facebook, and we were friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
So she followed along with Caleb, and I followed along with whatever. She didn't post a lot, but she did comment.
Yeah.
She commented a lot.
Yeah.
And, memories pop up of her. And I actually her and I Facebook messaged a lot while she was sick and stuff. And there were several times I was going to go see her, but because I had Caleb, and I never wanted to run the risk of, because when we moved here, he got sick.
Yeah.
And it was his allergies, but I didn't.
No, it was his allergies?
I knew it was allergies, but at the same time, he was in school, and I never wanted to take the chance of
bringing school
what
germs.
If it wasn't allergies?
Yeah.
I am not going to walk into see her and
because he was 6 at the time, maybe. 6
yeah,
or
when
5.
we moved back here, had just, he turned 4, he turned 5. He was about 5.5 when we moved back here. So he was kindergarten.
Yeah.
And kindergartners have a lot of germs.
Yep.
And then it would have been kindergarten, first grade? She died in what year?
2016.
And we moved here in 14.
Yeah.
And so, and those first 2 years were when we were, fighting a lot of, even up until just a couple years ago, we were still fighting the allergies, not knowing if it was allergies or if it was, but then we realized, he doesn't get sick very often. It's allergies or asthma that are his sick.
Yeah.
So I could have gone and seen her, which sucks, but yeah, I still have all my Facebook messages with her. I won't delete them.
I have voicemails that I recorded the audio and have them stored away somewhere.
Yeah. When you did at her funeral, you did the music and the pictures, and you put her voicemails in there.
Yeah.
She sounds the way.
Classic.
Always sounded.
Like a classic record, basically.
Yeah. And, I can still hear her. Like, when someone says her name, I can hear her voice in my head.
Yeah.
But no, she was amazing. But yeah, that was always I don't have many regrets in life, but not getting to see her before she died is probably one of my biggest ones.
Yeah.
Because even though they divorced, she's still my family.
Yeah. That's one of the good examples of family you pick even post-divorce.
Yeah.
And you actually hold tight.
Yeah. You know, because they had like I said, they had a very amicable divorce. You know.
Well, I can't remember what the other example is, but for most of my life, there's only been 2 divorces that ended very well, and that's one of them, actually.
Yeah.
There's one other that I heard of to where, like, they were friends afterwards, so to speak, but
Yeah.
my parents was the only divorce that I really ever have heard of or seen of that was an agreement.
I have a good friend that, you know, they divorced and it got ugly there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But then they realized that they were really good friends.
Yeah.
And they run a very successful business together.
Yeah.
You know, and he's remarried now and she was at his wedding.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't see anything wrong with that. But I also don't see anything wrong with the fact that, you know, like Peyton's mom and us tolerate each other. You know?
Basically.
Yeah, I wish that we could have a better relationship because I think for Peyton that would be the better thing, but that's not always in the cards because it's the difference in our personalities.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
maybe even values and base principles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I remember even after your mom and dad divorced, your mom still coming to some, like when I would come back into town, her coming to some family functions and bringing you.
Yeah.
And it never being awkward or anything, but also because your dad wasn't there.
Basically.
You know, he didn't come. So
I'd like to think because of how my dad is like the worst of the hermits out of all of them in a way, because he picked like his house 2.5 hours away from everyone else.
Yeah.
And Steven's here often enough, even though he's up in the Atlanta mountain area. He's down often enough. He might as well be in town.
Yeah.
But like, there's a certain point where I'd like to think I could be misremembering. Mom took me often enough to like the other family side during like before I had a car to like do her side of the family's Thanksgiving, Christmas, or whatnot, and then same day, go to the other one. Like I've been doing that my whole life. It was like last year, or maybe a year before, where I started going, kind of want to stay in one place.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to go to which family I want to go to.
Yeah. And you know, there's nothing wrong with like, okay, Thanksgiving.
But I think she did. I think to finish the actual thought, I think she actually did start actually like attending or actually going.
She did
on account of realizing like 1, dad's not going to be there. 2, it's amicable. 3, you're stale family.
And she wanted you to have that.
Yeah.
That.
Well, I think she knew which.
But I think it stopped after Joe. When
did.
Joe came in the picture, it stopped.
Because then that's a family you have to integrate with and everything.
Yeah. So then she had her family, and then she had Joe's family.
And I had my relationship with my dad's side of the family. But she always tried to frame Joe as a better father figure, even though that turned out to be bollocks, to everyone's surprise. But she never really like stopped anything about like, no, I'm planning on going over to like dad's side of the family, and she'd be like, yeah, that's a thing. Like you definitely get the relationship there with your grandma and Situ and all that. I think it's probably like her biggest batch of I know she told me her biggest batch of regret or uncertainty, and something that she just never could probably get over. Because Joe gave her a lot of paranoia with how that went. She needed Trinity to actually get her last best friend in Lainey, which is a good fun story. I'll let Lainey tell that story when either we get her on the phone or get her down here, or we just go visit her, for Christ's sakes.
Where's she?
Pennsylvania.
She's in Pennsylvania now.
No, I want to go see her.
Yeah, Lainey's great.
I'll drive.
But yeah, no, Joe showed up, and that was the beginning of a lot of ends. And you know.
What was her relationship like with your dad while she was with Joe?
Amicable, just fine. The only real thing I remember is that she just kept trying to paint, like, and just show and like. It's a very complex psychological evaluation I'm trying to run through here in my head.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to highlight Joe because Joe was a coach, he was a father, he was working towards being a lawyer, he was a background with being a cop, he remarried, he looked to be putting in good values and stuff like that, have long talks with me. It's just that Mom was never equipped, and I was becoming equipped in very amateur and very low tact ways of sort of realizing how toxic of a household I was living in with these very subtle psychological plays that he was doing. Because it's one thing to do rough and tumble play with your kids and that's a in the first 4 years kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where Martin would play with Caleb and throw him around, rough and tumble, play, wrestle, stuff like that. It's another thing to be doing that with like late middle schoolers and high schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not actually teaching them any combat or any play. You're just literally dominating them.
Yeah.
And it's just say the line and then I'll get off. Like it's just some dominance play. And mom can never really identify that. And I don't think it was till later, like when we went to Garibaldi's, they're off of 15436, where I was like, I think I finally broke that down to her. I was like, he's never taught me shit. We're wrestling for no good reason. Like he's picking fights with me.
Yeah.
His son's the only one that would ever like pick a fight with him just to lose. Like that was play for him. It's never play for me. Because I don't think it's in the psychology of how like we are as Solomons. Like that's just a difference in personality.
The Solomon and us would be competitive and
we're here to win.
Want to kick in and win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one time I ever actually was like I was probably peak 155, and the one time I could actually get to the point that he had lost enough weight and I'd gotten enough strength that I could lift him, he got his next extra gear and just pinned me in 2 seconds. And it's like, well, what's the fucking point here?
Yeah. And see, if I were ever in that situation, I would have kicked him in the balls to win. Because there's a when you're being competitive like that, there's a difference between play wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can almost feel that other person kick that energy into where they're not playing.
Yeah. And
they're trying to dominate you.
Yeah.
And my fight or flight would kick in.
Yeah,
and want to hurt him.
This is where I think this is going to get a little too focused on me for a second.
That's all right, because this is part of your mom.
Well, this is also where we're having our first interview together, like our first very focused one-on-one, as cousins and everything, and as friends. Anyone I ever talked to, even at that age, at that time, and even now, I was like, no, I had to kick this ass, or I had to kick him in the balls. I'm like, you don't understand. He had the full psychological. I understood that if I made that play, he would return the play.
Mm-hmm.
So
you were old enough and smart enough to sense that, which tells me the negativity that he brought into that relationship with you.
Yeah, and so people are like, well, like, what's the play? It's like the play is I literally leave that house, but I never had the guts to leave that house because my own raising from a father figure was stunted way early on. Like my dad was there up until I was 10, effectively. After that, I could count the number of lessons I got out of my dad up until recently, probably on 1 or 2 hands.
Agreed.
And that's just the reality of that play.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to my naturally very inquisitive and always asking why this type, I always kind of sat there and dealt with Joe and kind of just was perplexed by how he existed. He would, because there's some weird shit. He would play nothing but I think Band of Brothers or war movies. Mm-hmm. He had a grotesquely negative impact on my mom's attempt to have holiday, like Christmas dinners, Thanksgiving dinners, and shit like that. He was just
he was what you would consider that stereotypical dominating cop personality. Not the good cop. He would stay
in the bedroom,
but the negative cop.
Yeah, he would be in the bedroom, or he'd come out and he'd mock the whole. Mom would get him out to the dining room, and he'd just play a huge mockumentary of it.
Yep.
And just drive her to tears. In fact, so my life for most of that was just perpetual observation, and also
of course it probably turned you off of family dinners too for a long time.
Not the ones that I knew were good.
And see, that's good. So you still learn from those experiences.
I did. It's just the play of, I was always asking why and seeing weird things. He played the same album.
God bless you.
For 6 months straight in his car.
Yeah.
On repeat. I don't know anyone else that's done that. I don't know someone that literally leaves Coldplay or another band that plays that same album over and over for like 6+ months.
No, that would make me crazy. I would get tired of it.
We're beyond that. I'm just kind of like looking at little nuanceical things that are just like, there's something like fucking wrong here.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate someone that that can't rationalize that it's 10 p.m. at night. I'm trying to watch my like shows on a Friday, Saturday night, and you are talking me to death for like hours probably. Like just some next level shit of just, I'm going to keep talking and talking about just questioning every little fucking bit of your shit, or kind of almost blackmailing you on discovering little, shit you're doing as a teenager on the internet. Like just some shit. So like there's a really weird thing where fight or flight, like, well, either I leave, but my dad's not anywhere reliable.
Yeah.
And I have no modes of transportation. And my mom's side of the family has never looked reliable in any way. I think my grandmother didn't come back, and my grandmother Gammy did not move back into town until the divorce began, basically.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember her.
She was up in Pensacola with Aunt Melinda.
Yeah.
And then you get to where my dad's side of the family,
which is a lot of reason why your mom was always at our family functions, because most of her family wasn't.
Yeah, they'd all kind of left.
Yeah.
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 And she had her own, opinions on everything. So that's where I think there's something to be said about not being raised well by like good father figures. And I've had to sort of spend my own time in these later years of my 20s identifying like what good men are, act like, and what are their tells of being actually good people, as opposed to just labeling it all as toxic.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, because like your dad, okay, let's talk your dad for just a second.
Yeah.
Your dad has one of the biggest hearts of anyone I ever know.
Yep.
He loves with all of his heart, just like all Solomons do.
Yeah.
We don't know how to not love with all of our heart.
Yeah.
But when we're burned a lot of times, But, he did his best to be a good dad to you while he was in the house with you. But once he was in the house, he didn't know how to do that.
When the traditional dynamic is broken, there is a scramble and perhaps never a find of how to.
Exactly. And so, it wasn't that he didn't want to be a good dad to you and that he doesn't now.
Yeah.
It's that he doesn't know how to.
Yeah.
But, and I can say this with 100% certainty, your relationship now is probably more like, instead of father-son, it's more like brother, older brother, younger brother.
Older friend kind of thing.
Yeah. Because he knows how to do that.
Yeah.
You know, but even that, I mean, he loves his brothers, but
generically, in a way.
But he doesn't, they don't necessarily, I don't know if they talk on the phone or they see each other or anything.
I'm
if Steven called and says, I need you now.
Yeah. Gone. In the car on the way. Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes that's one of the most important things you need to know.
Yeah.
Now like Martin, Martin's his father, he does not have a good example of his father. He does not have a good relationship with his father.
Yeah.
But he has an amazing dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
like really good raising, really good dad, but it just got estranged at some point.
But his stepdad.
Oh, okay. I was like, there's another character here that I'm not catching.
Yeah. You have met his dad. You've never met his father. I've only met his father once.
Stepdad.
But David is his dad. That is his stepdad.
Bio. Okay. So we need to play the difference between biological and stepdad, and which one is the father.
So father is his bio father, who he biologically came from.
Yes.
That is his father.
Okay.
His dad is
man that raised him.
Yeah, who his mother is married to still.
Yeah.
That's his stepdad.
Yeah.
But, in our household, because of the dynamics that we have, we don't use step because they're not.
Yeah. They're fully integrated.
They are fully integrated. They are fully, and that's what I've done as best as I can and as much as Peyton has always allowed me to do with her.
Yeah.
And, just like I never wanted to replace her mother. I have no intent of that.
Mm-hmm.
She has a mother who loves her, but now she has another mother who loves her.
Yeah.
And, Martin's father, I believe, loves him in his own way, but I don't think he truly knew how, but when Martin and Jenny divorced, he knew what he didn't want to be.
Yeah.
For Peyton.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, I think on our last podcast that we did, we talked about choices.
Yeah.
And people talk about, well, it was the way I was raised. Well, yeah, it was the way you were raised, but you still have a choice.
Yeah.
You can choose to continue that pattern, or you can choose to change that pattern. And I think you, and especially with the influence your mother did have on you, because while she might not have been the most maternal of mothers, I'm not the most maternal of mothers. I'm not. It's not who I am.
My mother was
I'm more of a, are you bleeding? Did you die? Yeah. Not a
swooning, cooing. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do I snuggle with Caleb? Hell yeah, I do. I love Caleb snuggles. But Caleb's not a hugger. He's not a, when my kid goes to bed, he fist bumps me. Okay? But does that mean that we're doing something wrong? No. He's respectable. He's,
sort of figuring out his own boundaries and what he's actually comfortable with.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, and so, with you and like your mom, she put a lot of good things there, and I think your dad, with the time that he had with you as a couple with your mom, he tried to do his best. But like you said, now you're looking out, and I hope Martin's a good influence on you, and other people are.
I actually have 2 people that I work with that are childless characters. But I sort of just picked, it's kind of where why I love where I work, just because I have 2 good men that are very different personality types in terms of how they look at their work.
Yeah.
One of them really loves like the full knowledge, and the other one's much more like, what do I need to do the job? Practicality versus enjoying a lot of theory. Martin is like not a significant influence at this point, and I think that's just how it is. But I think what I've been really trying to draw from is the men that I see regularly, as well as kind of being able to sit there with my uncles and just see myself across the table.
Yeah.
Like actually see myself across the table. Not the emulation as much as that's at play, but it's something to see the tics of my uncles as well as my father and be like, there I am.
Oh, yeah.
Because because of the distance, so I'm really looking for it. But I don't often go to my mom's side and to my aunts because I have no uncles on that side. I don't really go anywhere on my mom's side and actually feel like there's somewhere I connect, or there's a piece of me. Like it's just not there. Like if I'm the postman's child, it's kind of hard to argue that my dad impregnated and like had me, because that's like where it comes from more. My mom's side, I don't connect with very significantly, very easily.
There was a picture your mom or you had posted. I think it was your mom before she had passed away, of her dad or her granddad.
I posted a photo.
It was a side by side
of Christian. I posted a photo of Christopher. I posted a photo of Christopher, and he looked like some Chris Evans level shit. I posted that, and I looked at it and went, "That's almost me." But Mom also there was another photo of James that was much more of one of those, like, not a silhouette, but like that angled face.
Yeah.
And it's like that round piece, and it's like got that black and white, brown orange sort of coloring. I think there was one of those of James.
But there was one. Who was that? That was
James is my grandfather on that side.
Okay, yeah. I think it was that one that I saw, and I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
But there's also a picture of Christopher, and you look a lot like him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see, like, you do things, and I see Robert, and then you do something, and I see your dad, and then you do something, like the intellectual side of you is
It's like Stephen Nicky or something like that.
You know, Nick, I see, but I don't see as much because I haven't had much interaction with Nick in
I gotta say, he's a good hang. He's ironic.
20-something years.
Yeah, ironically, he's a good hang.
Yeah. I mean, I want to see him. I want to
Yeah.
reestablish that connection there.
Yeah.
But I have not seen much of him. Let's see. Sidhu has been gone 20 years.
Yeah.
So I haven't really had much of a connection with him in over 25 years.
Yeah.
Because him and my mom had a falling out at her 80th birthday, and that's it.
How old's your mom now?
She will be 67 this year.
At whose 80th birthday?
Sidhu's.
Okay. I thought you said your mom's 80th birthday. I was like,
no, Sidhu's.
Wrong.
Sidhu's, not Cena. Sidhu.
Yeah.
Your great Sidhu's 80th birthday.
Yeah. No, I remember that, and now I'm not going to speak for him, quote unquote, but he's like, no, we have a disagreement, and that's what that is. Like, I just don't need to bother myself with that stuff. Like, with whatever that play out was. Like, all right, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's not fair. It's just how it is. Like, well, that's what I'm actually trying to say. No, Nikki's a good hang. It's just it's a fun shit talk in a way. It's a very specific type of shit talk.
Yeah.
Because you have to be ready to counter your reasoning for why you've made every decision in your life in a way. And he almost always wins. Is sort of the dynamic, but he will graciously lose. Like I just gotta say, it's a great. It's if you know how to push back against a classic strong male. I think that.
Yeah, I would love to have him and my mom rekindle.
I don't think that'll ever happen.
Probably not.
And that's a gamble you can throw out there and see if the dice roll.
And I don't know if it would happen on either of their parts.
No, I don't think it's something that's.
Yeah, I think it's a pride issue on both their parts.
It's in the blood.
He thinks he's right. She thinks she's right.
Yeah.
Technically, they were both wrong.
Yeah, but I don't think they're interested in that connection. You have to go down to what's your interest at this point. Nicky is, doing his knife work on the weekends. He's got his wife, effectively, his kids that he helped raise are off and grown and doing their own damn thing. They got like one more kid to get out of the house, but they're chilling and just doing what they want to do. Like, the desire for drama of any kind, healthy or not, is of no interest to them, nor to your mother with how the last year has been for her health.
Yeah.
And she's got grandkids and great grandkids grandkids and stuff to sort of like worry about.
Well, better not have any great grandkids yet.
Well, for your mom.
Yeah.
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 So like if they ever care about that, it would be way later. And I just don't like.
You'd almost have to get him back to a family event before it would even matter.
Yeah, and
because we can't get him hardly out of his
zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could get her to his zone.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get him. So.
Yeah. Well.
For the sake of the family, I would love to see them.
I think if you could say no to hosting or host and leave and go with Sidhu and Papa and just go play cards and hang out.
Exactly.
Like
that's all. Just let bygones be bygones.
I really wish I had been more like my biggest regret about myself as a person is how observant and relatively shy I was growing up, because I've only really played like one game of cards with the family ever, like the classic sit down and play pinochle or whatever they come up with. I've done just one with with Uncle Steven, Teresa, Sidhu and Papa, and it's the funnest shit.
Oh yeah,
it's the funnest batch of shit talk.
Playing cards with them.
Yeah, but so like running down and just going and playing with a bunch of cards.
They even take Uno to next level.
Yeah. But like, it's a nice, calm thought to think of. Just go over, have good food on deck with like drinks, and just sit in the middle of the living room playing cards, and just actually connect with like.
Do you know how to play cribbage?
I don't know how to play any of it, but
I started learning how to play cribbage, but then I stopped. But I have a cribbage board. I actually have a couple cribbage boards.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to come over and let's figure this out, and then we can go over and play with them, I'm totally on board with
I'm at the point in my life where I'm finally secure enough in myself. Like, because we have this with some video games we're playing now. I'm really perfectly okay walking into a game that I have no experience in, just learning it on the fly and losing hard.
But I'm going to tell you that you don't want to do that with them.
Oh, I did that with Steven. I did that with Steven just fine.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're going to do it with Nikki, you need to play on the, no, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to defend myself as I don't know anything, and I'm going to be brain dead. So you need to, like, get off my ass.
Yeah. You need to teach me because I don't know how to play this.
Well, and that's the funny thing.
But see, that's the thing is they're not the best teachers.
Steven's pretty good. Situ's there to have the maternal piece. Chris is there for entertainment.
That is all Chris is there for.
Yeah. But, like, so, like, I was fine with that with Steven. And Teresa has no negative impact at all. Even drunk, she's a hoot.
Oh, and she's just fun no matter what.
Okay, so let's give a fun family breakdown. This is Doreen's diary, but guess what? So,
but this is her family. This was her family.
It is.
You know, no matter what.
So here's the play. Is Steven is the oldest uncle.
Yeah.
And he's married to Teresa. They have their mountain home way up in like northern Georgia. Yada yada.
Yeah.
Teresa has been deaf effectively and progressively getting more deaf for most of my life.
Yeah, I was going to say for as long as I can remember, 20, 30 years.
Yeah, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So right around like in the last
and I would say about 7 years ago, she was officially diagnosed as basically 100% disabled, deaf.
I remember me, her, and Situ sitting in like one of the living rooms at Uncle Robert's, just reading the closed captioning, and whoever was doing the closed captioning for the show was drunk because the words.
Oh, it's horrible!
It's hilarious.
Like it is. Watching closed captioning is a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that Steven has a really good international job, and so they're really well off, and Teresa I don't think ever has had to work.
Oh no, she worked for the same company. They worked for the same company for years and years and years.
Okay.
And she worked up until I think she was 55, and then she did like tech support, and she couldn't hear. So, that's when she stopped.
Yeah, but what she had for her hobby that she took quite seriously was agility training for Chihuahuas.
Yes.
So that family has always had a bunch of yappy fucks.
Oh, yappy. Yes.
So, but as it goes with deafness and just getting older, is that the higher frequencies fade away. So when you get into a much more decrepit situation,
you don't hear them.
You never hear them because you're so deaf.
Yep.
And you're relying on low tones and mouth reading and body language to communicate. And she was quite good at it. Like I had.
Oh, she was fantastic.
If you aren't an asshole of a young kid and you throw your patience in, she's a sharp tack of just wit, fun, and gooberish.
Oh yeah, you can have a lot of fun with her.
So when I go to do that one game of cards at Situ's, I'm just playing through, and they have their dogs there, and one of the dogs yap, just like.
Is this after or before her?
This is after her.
Her
I had not gotten that information yet.
Oh, you didn't know.
So I'm just sitting there playing, learning it, and she's like, "What is that?" And I'm just like, "What?" And I look at Steven for like understanding. He's like, "She got, surgery."
Yeah, about a year or two, she had a cochlear implant.
Yeah, but she got, I think, the implant or whatnot, so now she can hear. And so I'm like, "Wait, you can finally hear?" And like, "Yup." And Steven's just hanging out on his sarcastic tone with it because he's had to deal with these fucking dogs forever, and he's the only one actually dealing with them, with the rest of us. And so I get to spend that whole card game learning Wizard or whatever game we're playing and hearing her just like jump, but like, what's that? Like, that's the dogs. And she's finally getting to where she's finally hearing them, and she's going, "Shut up! Shut the fuck up!" And it's like, bless. Finally there.
She's finally where the rest of us were with it.
Which was it was so great.
Yeah.
It was so great.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah, we've had many experiences with Teresa and hearing, we had a Labrador when we first started dating, and we took him over there, and he barked. Yeah. And her head spun around so quick, and she goes, "What the hell was that?" And we're like, "A dog barking."
God. Whole new world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you throw down and actually like get your time right to go over to Nikki's when like Situ and them are just going over to play cards and hang out.
That's what we've talked about it. I need her to tell me, when so I can
Yeah, they're
go.
bad about that.
Yeah.
Mostly because they just have their group. And I think they also have like what they're used to. But
Yeah.
we kind of need to just like elbow our way in and be like, hey,
yeah. Or maybe you reach out to them and we just go up there together and
yeah. Just throw
do
down.
like a Saturday, because I think for Nick, since it's been so many years since we've really had much interaction.
Yeah.
The smaller the group, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But go up there and do something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think the holidays is a really good play for it. Best, just because that's what the plan is. Otherwise, his weekends are his knives.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's no go up on a Saturday and just go to hang out.
Which I don't have a problem going up and while he's working on a knife.
You're in how he works. You're welcome to sit there and do nothing and maybe help. But if you want to learn, you have to teach yourself, and he'll just sort of
oversee you.
Add to it or oversee it.
Yeah.
That's where I understood that. I came to understand after doing it with him and getting these 2 pieces made that I'm interested in doing it off my own hand, and I'm interested in figuring out but I'm not interested enough that I'm actually doing the research right now to learn the temperatures, learn the grades of steel, make it clear that I really, really want to learn this. And that's where it's very obvious what I'm interested in based on where I put my money, where I put my study time, where I put my extra time. And it's obviously not the steelwork stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's where he gave me a good lesson on understanding don't waste his time. Not in any angry thing. Is you can come up here and do this, but I am not a teacher. He knows he's not a teacher.
See, I'm not either.
Yeah.
But I am a watcher.
Yeah.
I learned well by watching someone do it and being able to ask a question here and there.
Yeah.
Okay, why did you do that?
Yeah.
And then you continue to do it.
Yeah.
And if you can answer the why as we're going, I do really well with that.
Yeah.
I used to, when I was a kid, they had motorcycles and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And that's how I learned tools.
Yeah.
As they'd say, hand me
the Allen wrench.
Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck's an Allen wrench? Or, hand me a 3/16 socket. Yeah. And I'd go and get, something. They're like, that's not it. Well, what does it look like? And then I'd be like, this? They're like, yes. And then you need this, and so I learned most of my tool knowledge just by being out there handing them tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the same way I learned different parts of whatever. Now, do I have any motor knowledge anymore? Not a lick, because I haven't done it since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I can't get back out there and start taking apart a motor and figuring it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
There's somewhere deep in my brain. It's go back to your mom for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Horses. I learned a lot of what I know about horses from your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Going and riding with her and being with her and, grooming them. And, because when I went with her, it wasn't just we get to ride.
Mm-hmm.
You have to prepare the horse, and then you have to
load the horse.
Yeah, do everything.
Load the gear, load your food.
Yep. And then you go, and then when you come back, you have to put everything away, and you have to, take care of the horse and
feed,
exactly
clean out the trailer.
Yep.
It's
all
a
of
full
the
day.
above.
It's a full day.
Now, we didn't have to deal with the trailer because where the horse was at the time,
Goldenrod?
I think so.
Yeah.
We could just
go right out around. Because they had the 2 sides of that road there.
Yeah.
You could just go into either field and just
you could ride for a long time. We rode along the power line trails.
Yeah. Before there's they did the whole redoing over there. You'd cross Goldenrod.
Mm-hmm.
You'd go behind the house. You'd go through a little bit of woods or another street, and then you'd be on the power line strip, and you could just go down that for miles. Of course.
Yeah. That was still when a lot of that was country.
That side of town was quite country.
It was. Where I live was all, that day didn't even start building that up until, I think it was 1998.
Yeah. Avalon Park and stuff.
Yeah. So, but again, that knowledge came back around to me in 2010, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10 with when Peyton wanted to start riding horses.
Yeah.
I had a base of stuff from your mom and from my cousin up in Indiana.
Yeah.
So when I walked onto the farm for Peyton to have lessons, I wasn't green.
Yeah.
I at least had
some white collar fool muddying themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I wasn't a white collar fool muddying themselves. I at least, I
Came
had mucked out stalls and I had groomed a horse and I had,
I have my own mud. Thank you. I'll be fine.
Yeah. I got dirty.
Are you guys still going to that one out there in the Geneva Oviedo area?
When we get to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I talk to Jenna regularly and I want to get back to, getting back out there. But, she had to change her schedule around and then there was just so much that I just couldn't.
Yeah. Well, I felt like that fell out hard for whatever reasons, and it sounds like there were several.
Yeah, and it wasn't a fallout between her and I. Like
scheduling.
Her, exactly.
Yeah.
Her and I text each other all the time, like, miss you, love you, hope you're doing great. Actually, when we bought Kayla a new bike, she around Christmas time had reached out on Facebook and was like, does anyone, and I was like, I have a bike, you can have it, blah, blah, blah. I was like, it needs a new seat, but that's it. And, and so I still have the damn bike in my garage.
Yeah.
Since Christmas.
Yeah.
So, I want to take a ride out there because I miss her.
Well, I remember being out there and seeing how much crap that they had just from hurricanes down trees and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, it's such a nice, fun project. And now I have a chainsaw. Like, Dad actually bought me a chainsaw when we were at a bar hanging out up at his property. And so, I'm kind of sitting there going, and I almost got it together, I think, a year or two ago now, where I was like, no, let's throw this down. I can get a bunch of people out here. It's here's an easy play.
Yeah, it's been over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been over a year since we've been out. Or since you were out there.
Yeah, at least I was out there.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out there. I was out there a couple times this summer. But even this summer, because we were in Indiana for 3 weeks and, everything else, it was just...
I still want to do that. Just, throw, it's kind of its own mini festival. It's we're going to get 20 people out there. Here's a bunch of trees we're going to cut down. And
just have a mark them and then...
Have a big bonfire. And
yeah, exactly. And she's been dating a guy, and she's wanted us to meet. No, they've been dating for...
Because they had a guy out. She had a guy out there.
Yes. No. Different guy than that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Wow. Yeah, it has been a while then. Because I think her and Scott have been dating for over a year.
Yeah. Was he bunch of ideas, not enough discipline?
Yeah. Traveled too much, just...
Not home often enough.
Yeah, well, and also, wanted her to travel with him, and it's I
have animals.
She's a traveler in the fact of, I'll go camping for the night. She loves... They're camping this weekend.
Yeah.
She loves stuff like that, but her animals are her life.
Yeah.
She got a miniature donkey out in there now. And she got another goat. And I haven't been out there to see either of them.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
how'd you meet her? Just through Peyton? Or?
Yeah, I was looking for somewhere for Peyton to go ride and fell upon her. I don't remember who recommended her to me or how I found her.
Yeah.
But from the very first time I talked to her on the phone, I was like, this is, there was totally that.
Yeah.
Because I had called several. There were several that were actually closer to us.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, they were more of a dressage barn, which is,
Yeah, hoity-toity.
Yeah, and, and then there was one that they did both, Western and English.
Yeah.
But the way that the people talked to me was, well, she would need to be out here riding on a regular basis. And it's what part of...
She lives in 2 states.
She lives in 2 states. Do you not understand?
Yeah.
And so, and again, go back to your mom. Your mom and her treatment of animals, while she was very, in one way, clinical about it, but in another way, very loving about it.
Yeah.
Always stuck.
Yeah.
In a deep recess of my brain.
Yeah.
And so Jenna reminds me a lot of that.
Yeah.
You know, like
Because there's a certain type of relationship that is empathizing with the emotions of that spirit, if you will.
Yeah.
But also understanding the clinical of like, no, this decision.
Ultimately, it's an animal.
Yeah.
You know, I love it. I'm going to do everything I can while it's on this earth to protect it and make it have a great life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But if it comes down to its pain and suffering, it's an animal, and I'm going to take care of it because it, you know.
Yeah. It's time to go.
It's time to go.
Yeah. We're having that now with Trinity because she's finally her back legs are beginning to fail. And she's a Wyme, so she has lumps all over her and stuff like that because she's about to turn 15.
Holy crap.
And Weimaraners are a larger breed.
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
the fact that she's hit 15
and that dog has been sickly since day one, like some Prince Edward kind of shit. So that's a reference I throw out all the time and no one gets it. So like we're sort of dealing with that now because my grandmother has had the dog since my mom passed.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting to show up at the, I don't know if it's a good line, but the after party of a funeral and find the dog that should be cremated with your mother walking around your grandmother's house. So, but Trinity has sort of saved Gammy, and Gammy saved Trinity by an extension. So it's just finally getting to that final, like an ultimate goodbye. And it's like, we're about 4 years. This May will be 4 years.
Has it really?
2016, 2020.
Well, yeah, because it would be this fall or this summer was July will be 6 years that Martin's been back here because it was 2014. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because in stuff like this, you know, you talk about memories and there's things that they feel
like yesterday.
Yes, there's things that like feel like yesterday or feel like, oh, that was just a few years ago. Like, for instance, you know, my last real memory of your mom, think about this, was 2000. May will be 20 years of my, you know, I mean, yeah, she was at the funeral and she was, you know, all that. But right after that is when I moved.
Yeah. Well,
and right after that is when they got divorced.
Yeah. The last big thing you had was in the hospital with her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't, you know, I know she was at the funeral. There was a lot of people at the funeral. I don't have many memories at that funeral. I remember that it was a lot more joyous and it didn't feel as dark as Jiddu's did. Granted, you know, we're also talking a 10-year span, but 10 to 11 year span between the two, you know, but I don't remember Jiddu's funeral. I don't. I take that back. I remember being at the reception and Nick being there and him saying hi, and that was it, and walking off. That's my last memory of Nick. That is literally my last interaction with Nick.
Yeah.
And prior to that, it had been 6 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
6.5 years, really. Because she would have been 87 in October. You know? But yeah, you know, so my last memory of your mom didn't tell you anything about, other than like the little things, you know, the cards, the text messages, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, I was 21 because I'm 41 now.
That leads me evaluating, like, because I'm basically like hitting, so this like June, July, May is 10 years since high school graduation. And I'm really like, I'm kind of reevaluating some of like who I was then and how I interacted with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And how I framed a lot of people in my mindset back then. And there's some people back then that I was like, you know, I really wish I wish my circumstances, but I wish I could have been better because in hindsight, I like that person. And if I wasn't such a pretentious, high-minded fuck back then, that I could have actually gotten along with a lot more people.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of really good friends and stuff like that. But there's something to be said about demonizing people for no real good reason. Like maybe it's just like you've created your own class warfare. Because I was at Winter Park,
Yeah.
and I didn't exactly grow up, poor for the 4 years I was at Winter Park High School. But there was a clear difference between Winter Park kids that could go to Park Ave casually and Panera Bread all the damn time, and those that were from Pine Hills or were from the apartments, or their parents could barely manage to get a house that was in that school zone.
Yeah.
So there's like a clear difference on that one. But I knew, I think of one kid that was like his parents ran like a circus or something like that, but he made his own decision to never drink. Like he just chose, but he was like a goofy, fun dude. He was one of the few interactions that I had when I did football for a little bit, where I was just put on like a O-line D-line drill, where I think I was playing O-line basically, and so I just had to match him and just like hold him until the play was over. And he like, for whether he tried really hard or not, because he was way bigger than me. Like my frame has not changed since high school.
No, you've always been a tall, skinny kid.
Yeah, and I was at most 150 then, and I've still been around 145, 150 since then. Just my muscle to probably fat ratio has changed. So, but even in that moment, whether he tried hard or I tried hard and we held each other even, or he just amused it, he was like, good shit. And I was like, that was fucking
that's
great.
Anyone in high school.
Yeah.
Because I remember my senior year, I had people, or even now, I've run into people and they're like, because when I was in high school, I chose not to drink.
Yeah.
I never did drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I had a brother who was a drug addict, so,
It doesn't help.
Yeah. I never smoked pot. I didn't even like going to a party where it was going on.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in it.
Yeah.
I chose to not be sexually active. I stayed a virgin through high school, and I remember my senior year, there was this one guy that I was friends with all the way through. And he goes, I always had the biggest crush on you. He was like, but I never asked you out. And I was like, why not? And he goes, because I knew you would never have sex with me.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, first off, I'll put this out here now. I wouldn't have dated him because I wasn't attracted to him. It wasn't my type.
Yeah.
So even if he did ask me, I would have said no.
Yeah.
But,
that's a weird caveat to add on.
Yeah.
At the end, basically.
It's like, well, that was your loss because, could I have changed my mind? Yeah, it's very possible. But if I changed it, it was because I was comfortable in it.
Yeah.
But, I was always a firm believer. Of course, granted, life has totally thrown me a kink in this one. I mean, I could have had all the sex I wanted. But, because I couldn't have gotten pregnant.
Yeah.
I never would have gotten pregnant. But I didn't know that back then.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have changed the way that I was. Because, back then, I was like, there were 6 girls in my high school that walked the line that were either pregnant. In my class, there were 6 that were either pregnant or already had a baby in my graduating class. And I knew that I was not going to have sex because there was no way that I wanted to have a child in high school, which is why I chose not to do that because I wasn't willing to take the risk.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, I have people even to this day that are like, yeah, I wish we would have hung out more, because you always had so much fun, but, you didn't hang out with the kids who did drugs and drink. I was like, I went to the parties where they drank. I just didn't drink.
Yeah.
I just didn't see the point in it.
Yeah.
I was the person who was, let's get you home safe.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, mama bird kind of shit.
Yeah. I've always, while I'm not maternal, I'm maternal. Does that make sense?
The maternal turns on when there's a critical case that needs to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Otherwise, get your shit together, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't get to any of that till after Joe left, basically. Like, my whole high school is nothing but subdued existence in sports and good grades with AP and all that thrown in. Like, that was my whole existence. That's where I actually get to thank Jose because in my senior year, there is a core trio. The funny thing is that the trio of myself and my friend Jason, my other friend Steph, those two were over at another high school, and I was at Winter Park. But those are like those are my two best friends, and uh, they had found what looked to be like their future spouses, and I had Jose as like my partner in crime at the time because I'd kind of gotten rid of a friend that had turned out to be a massive parasite and still apparently is. So I kind of get to thank Jose for just being a good friend for like my first year of actually being able to act like a teenager.
Yeah.
Because like 3 years of high school was just go to Monday night was Boy Scouts, Tuesday night was soccer, Wednesday night was off, Thursday night was soccer, Friday led into either soccer the next day or a Boy Scout trip.
Right.
So, and then when I was at school, I was running AP classes since freshman year. Like I actually I was probably of the top. I know I was in the top percentages of people in terms of the number of AP courses that I had done by the end of high school. Like I know in my senior year, they were implementing the 7-period system.
Okay.
And I got to look at my 7th period with anatomy, and it wasn't an AP course, and looked at it and went, I don't need it.
Yeah.
Bye. And I got to leave early, or I got to hang out wherever I wanted to at the end of school, basically. Which was always great fun.
Yeah. No, I get that.
So I didn't get into any sort of partying scenes until college age, but I didn't actually like really have a full college experience till 2018 when I graduated with my bachelor's in 2018.
Did you go to college at all out of high school?
Straight into.
Okay.
I had a 6-year path in college, really, and now I'm only sitting at like 19 grand in debt.
Okay.
So like I'm doing well compared to most, but no.
What did you do? Go into Valencia and then...
I went into Valencia, and because I had an affinity for legal, at least just I'm okay with reading extensive legal documents and being very technical. I went towards the paralegal route at Valencia, which is I think it still is, but it was a really good program. And then I got the heads up by the end of the first year that if you want to be a lawyer, this is not the route you want to take.
Yeah.
This is teaching you to become like the nurse to the doctor, as opposed to like an actual like doctor or lawyer for like the parallel equivalents. So I went, well, I've always had something. I always kind of knew that once I actually had access to the internet in a proper manner, that I would fly high. I figured out some way because I was business minded. I was the kid selling most of his lunch throughout the day, and was like, I would just sell most of my lunch. I was the one that was kind of using my parents' money to go buy the big Texas cinnamon rolls, the big huge thing from Sam's, and I'd sell them $1 a piece at school in like my freshman year. Like it was the game. And that kind of got squelched because my parents realized what I was doing, at least like Joe and Mom did. But I always had a very high opinion of my ability to do business or be entrepreneurial, even though I never liked that word. But when I finally got internet, it was, a lot of everything had to begin with breakdown, fall apart, relationships, realization. So it's now 10 years later, and I'm finally heading in a direction of at least starting something.
Yeah.
Because people might misunderstand the part where I say got internet. I was in such a controlled situation. I didn't get a Facebook till my senior year of high school. My internet access was critically limited throughout that time because of my affinity and love for hip hop and rap, because I could appreciate all types of music, but I've always been someone that's been very lyrically and word focused, and rap and hip hop does something with words that I'd only ever found once before in other genres. Country that I was raised on did it well in a few pieces, like The Devil Went Down to Georgia is like that was what got me started on, like, it wasn't my start of my love for music, it was my start of love for music and story and lyrics having a perfect mesh.
Yeah, see, rap music, hip hop music, they tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
They just do it in a way that some people don't like to hear the music that goes with it. But if you actually read and listen to the words, a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Especially back then. Not as much these days.
It devolved in my high school area, graduating 2010. But there's just something that was so. What's your time limit?
I'm still good.
Okay,
because Marty is texting
the hell out of you.
Well, I guess that someone had ordered Chick-fil-A and never canceled it, but had ordered it for lunch instead of for breakfast. So it showed up at the office, and so he ended up getting it, and so
nice.
Yeah, he was texting with me and somebody else, and somebody else got fired this week, and that's the person who had ordered it.
Nice.
So, but the training, because she got fired, the training didn't actually happen today like it was going to happen.
Nice.
And so
SOL.
he called the field and said, "Hey, you guys want this?" And they came in and got it.
Free Chick-fil-A, let's go.
Free Chick-fil-A, let's go. So anyways, he just had tags a whole bunch. And I mean, I got to wrap up soon, But
yeah, I know.
Like,
then we can play for wrap up and get to more shit talking on another episode.
Yeah, totally.
This is your one for the month, right? Sure.
We could probably do another one.
No, I'm gonna vibe you another pseudo one just because Melanie's finally stabilizing with her surgery, and this month's fucking busy on account of there's a lot of shit that's finally getting cleaned up after waiting like 5 years for some of it, and there's also we're finally flying out to Austin. I'm finally starting this series. I'm finally trying to start trying things that I've been a big fan of to see if it's an actual avenue I want to go down.
Right. Now, with Doreen's Diaries, do you want it just things about your mom, or is it more your family?
It's supposed to be mom focused on account of the name and on account of the initial premise and the initial purpose.
Right. Because we've talked about mom, but we've also talked about
that's where
your family in general.
That's where having your mom on, as she's like the self-titled historian of the family, or having even both of you on, if that's even a good dynamic.
It could work.
Having your mom on, period, has been a goal of mine since like October. To try to get her on and actually have a good full education and breakdown of our family's history, because I never got that because Dad's not that teacher, and my connection to that side of the family was quite limited over the past like 20 years.
I have through Ancestry, I have a really good family tree breakdown.
Yeah.
Like I can tell you who this person was, who this person was. You know, I met a lot of the different family. You know, Mom can get you obviously a whole lot further back than I can.
Yeah.
But
that's sort of that play, is that having like a JHP episode that's solely focused like on its own
Solomon family type.
But that's like I could see that as a 1-2 off, like it's another series in the JHP world.
Right.
This is its own series that I know there's hundreds of people that I could sit down with.
Oh yeah, totally.
And just hang out. Yeah. And just get everything they can get out for trying to be focused on her. But if you're gonna have a proper long form, you have to go everywhere. You have to go everywhere that the conversation is going to go. And everyone, and as long as both remember what the initial premise is, the initial purpose of the meet, then, we'll
then
do
you're
that.
good.
And we've been doing that.
Yeah.
And we both knew that this was going to be pretty limited in terms of that scope. But, I'm realizing I need to at least have a introductory episode where I break down basic family titles.
Yes. So that way when other people listen to this, they understand.
Yeah. What Gammy means, what Situ means, what Jiddu means, what Papa means.
Yeah. And if you want to do that type of thing, we could totally do that. I was going to share with you. See, these are, we started, actually, what started your mom, the conversations with your mom was in 2014.
Mm.
So that would have been right as we moved back here, because this was July of 2014. I said, so I've got a question for you. Do you still have your horse, or do you know someone who gives lessons?
Right.
And it's because, your mom,
Yeah.
we had just moved back to Orlando. I mean,
Yeah.
we had maybe been here just I don't even know that I was back here yet.
Yeah.
Like, we might have still been driving from California.
Yeah.
But I wanted to start thinking about lessons for Peyton.
Yeah.
And then she said, sorry, I have no direction on that at all. I haven't had or been around horses since 2002. Are you home yet? Lots of question marks.
Yeah.
And I said, no worries. I figured you'd be a good starting place. And I said, yeah, we got in about 1 a.m. Tuesday morning.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be at Mom and Dad's until we get a house. We put an offer in one today, just in the wait and see now. And she goes, great. Where are you looking? And I said, Waterford, Avalon Lakes. And so we text, and then she told me she lived in Winter Springs. And then we text back and forth, and then she'd given me her number. Mm. No, she'd given me a lady out in Winter Springs.
Mm.
And then, I think I gave him a call.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But, then she sent me like a chain forward, and then she sent me one in April of 2015 that she was actually with your Situ.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked back and forth, and I gave her my number then, and she called me, and I got to talk to her on the phone, and then, she said, she loves me and blah, blah, blah. And we text back and forth all the way until August of 15.
Yeah. That's when she got diagnosed.
And
that's when it all began.
Let's see. Yeah, because in August of 15, I said, just thinking about you, when can I see you? She goes, whenever. Should start meds this week, so I don't know the reaction my body will have. Just praying and keep my head clear. And I said, Caleb starts school on Monday. Maybe I could come next week and see you while he's at school. Are you working while doing treatment? She said, nope, I have no energy. And I said, oh, that sucks. And I said, well, you tell me what day is best. I drop him off about 8:30 and I'm free until about 2. She was, okay. I should have my smart drug in a day or so. I'll get back to you. And I said, perfect. Love you. And then she says, this was in August of 15. Okay. She goes, love you all. Thank you for the prayers. And then I forward her something, and I don't remember what it was. And she goes, wow, that is awesome. Thank you. And I said, I know. I figured if it's true, that would be an amazing thing for you. How are you doing? And I don't remember what it was. I think it was like something to do with, cleaning for a reason. It was this people who come in and they clean for people who, like your mom, who was single and had
cleaning
cancer.
Business,
and,
residential, commercial.
Yeah, they do it. They come in one time a month for 4 months while having cancer treatment. And so I sent that, and I don't know if she ever did anything with it. And then I said, I know. I figured if it's true, that'd be an amazing thing for you. How are you doing? And I never got a response. She probably wasn't feeling good or
it was
whatever.
Back and forth
but
with all that.
Yeah,
she was in the hospital.
She actually never even shows that she read it.
Never got on Facebook again or something.
Yeah.
She dove into a project for her friend Audrey, who also passed not long after her. She made a big yellow poster with a bunch of mutual photos. And then February, like Valentine's Day, when Deadpool came out, she was in the hospital and she never walked again and never got out of the hospital.
Yeah.
It's kind of a 9-month play, actually.
Yeah. I mean, once she was diagnosed, it didn't take long.
No.
It really didn't.
No.
But yeah. So
it's one of those interesting areas where I look back and I say that I'm regretful about how I was, or how much time I spent, or how nurturing or whatever. But it's not the kind of regret that you sit there and you're like, you harp on it forever. It's it'd have been nice if I could have been better, but I also knew where I was.
Yeah.
I had a critical friendship that was breaking down, if not gone by then. I was in a shit situation with my roommates on account of how much everyone owed me. And I'm still, and I'm going through whatever I'm going through with the Joe stuff.
Yeah.
And I had a really
Because that
close,
wasn't that many years
no,
old.
that kind of thing when you're going through your high school years, it's very formative years, yes, and it's a lot of impact shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I came to be kind of demonizing of men in general, and I got on that kind of left mindset early on where like why are men even fucking here, what value do they provide? And it's kind of nice that these days a lot of social sciences um, are kind of showing how impactful, how fathers are almost as if not more impactful for the raising of children than the mother is,
Yes.
in terms of empathy, in terms of socializing, in terms of the biggest one is for sure is that fathers teach both their children the difference between assertion and aggression. And they're the ones that teach empathy through the rough and tumble play. And I think that's a running hypothesis, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Of like, if you play wrong, i.e., you hurt someone, now we can't play, and you need to learn how to adjust that. And that plays out through and through for the rest of your life in just in different ways of playing. So, but yeah, yeah, I
And
understand.
I don't think anyone realized that it was going to take her as quick as it did.
No, well, her
and
cousin.
you were still at that age where
I was 25, 26.
Yeah, you're in your head, your mom is still, you're still at the age where in your head, your mom's going to live forever.
Ever so, yeah.
Yeah. And so when this happened,
well, yes,
there was an acceptance of it that wasn't occurring either. Because your brain wasn't, at that age, your brain isn't yet at that acceptance of that
impermanence.
Yes.
Here's the thing. While that can be true, the thing that mom gave me, ironically, with our Christian monotheistic go-to mindset, she kind of gave me an idea of an after-death experience, of after-death life. There were plenty little one-off stories of someone passes and weird kind of not haunting things, but ghost things happen. Yeah. Windows opening, blinds moving, no wind outside, stuff like that. Angelic sort of like miraculous low percentage plays. And Lee had gotten through it, but it's just at that time, how was this? My life was in such a goddamn tragedy that that I think if I break it down properly and I have like my other mother figure Tyler help break it down. My absolute best friend, as I've come to understand at the time, that friendship was catastrophically falling apart. In 24 hours after that started falling apart, I get the diagnosis about mom. She calls me while I'm in Austin at a convention, and I get the wake up of what I kind of want to do with entertainment media and the creative element and doing the business side of it, yada. I'm on a full-time job working at a grocery store doing overnight work. Mom is just going through her stuff. I have roommates that are good, but the finances are falling apart. I had to kick someone out like that January.
Right.
And having to just deal with, and then February hits, mom's in the hospital, and it's looking critically bad. I didn't hear it at the time, but Lainey gave her 12 weeks, and it was 12 weeks to the day. And I had no relationships, thank God. I think that was probably ironic, and I was taking dance lessons because that previous summer, I'd gone up and reconnected with the woman I'd call equivalent to you on my mom's side, Candace. I've almost introduced you to through text and a letter I was trying to draft out to explain some stuff. So I finally got to meet her as an adult because she ran on the same vein as you. She was 18 and when college or graduate, she was on a fast track play and married by the time she was 18, 19. So like I knew of her existence, like knew what she looked like, but I didn't get to meet her and then the rest of her family, her 4 kids, until that summer. So I was molding into figuring out what kind of relationship was I going to have with the rest of my family. And so, and then that summer, I had the biggest infatuation I had had and a big breakdown of that, which led me to actually going into ballroom and doing that twice a week and doing a performance that I recorded and produced as well and helped, pick the music, and my teacher choreographed and made a good friend out of that as well. So like I'm running all this together. February crisis hits. Mom's, without walking. I have the performance. She can't make it. I take the recording angles and everything. Show it to her on the iPad in the hospital. I went when she was at Winter Park Hospital. And I kind of just watch her fade. I have pictures that I have yet to ever share with anyone. Once where she's smiling, once where it's like, that's bad. And the play is just happening. You go, you show up, you go to work, you
existed during that time.
You exist.
Yeah.
I know it's like to park and ride your skateboard through that area there off of Princeton.
Yeah.
And
the hardest part of that, when you know that she's dying and there's nothing you can do, you're already mourning. That's what a lot of people don't realize. You're already in mourning. From the moment she was diagnosed and you're told that it's terminal.
I read into that, and that became clear when she signed the hospice papers on Thursday, one of the two.
There's a certain level that when she told you I have cancer and there's very limited they can do about it, when Lainey said she's got 12 weeks.
Yeah.
You already started your mourning.
Well, I did not hear that at the time. All I saw was what looked to be a mismanagement at the time. Looked to be a mismanagement by the oncologist because they'd focused on the large masses on her liver. And they'd run on this drug that was Nexavar that was supposed to block whatever was feeding it.
Right.
And it worked for a bit, but it didn't work long enough to get the masses small enough to surgically remove because there were veins or arteries that were crossing over that were just way too, way scary. And
where did the cancer start?
Liver.
Okay.
The thing that really was the critical breaker, and I think broke her spirit more than anything, which prevented her from walking. Oh, holy shit. Was she had lesions or whatnot, small pieces on her spine.
Okay.
And those got ignored, more or less, because they didn't seem critical. And it led to her never going out into the sun again, basically. And I think that's where me and my aunt, Nancy, agree that whether that would have been a game changer is questionable, of course, medically, but it really would have changed her ability to fight instead of sitting in a medical room all the damn time.
Yeah. And they wouldn't let you put her in a chair and take her out?
I don't think no, but I think me and Nancy both agree that we were better off saying fuck off. There's something about having adventures when you're in something that could be terminal. Even a friend mentioned, it's like, we could have brownies in here. And my mom just like had the reaction like, wait, what? We could? What? I don't know, like a small, like a young kid questioning if they'll get in trouble for doing something silly. Fun shit like that.
But see, you know what you can take from that? Is if you're ever in that situation again, go on those adventures.
Yeah.
Because those are the adventures you don't regret not seeing her enough.
You regret not taking her outside.
You regret not taking her outside.
Yeah.
And so, we go back to when we've talked about having a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You now know that if you ever were in that situation again, you would make different choices potentially.
Well, I've unfortunately come to the conclusion repeatedly with both my mother and my mom's side of the family, and I don't think I've had enough tests with my dad's side of the family, but I have yet to come to trust, and this is my biggest problem with having a relationship and most of my friends. I don't trust anyone to make the better decision than I would. I just don't trust them to make that decision, because what I did with Mom is I let my grandmother and my aunt and her boyfriend sort of make the decisions and make the calls with her.
Yeah.
When regardless of what would have been the better play, there's something that I've always understood about it, even when I understood about my mother, that everything about that trip project execution would have been better if I'd have done it. And that can be ego driven or whatnot, but there are some execution pieces and a
You're
level
her
of
son, and as her son, you look at things differently, but what they were looking at was your age. And that's not necessarily she included in that. She was still seeing you as a little boy who can't make those decisions. And that's why she was looking to them. And that's just as much her fault in that, where she should have, there's a certain amount of that she should have been looking to you.
Yes and no. Yes, if you think that it can rise to the occasion, really execute it. I think yes, on account of I wanted to be more part of it, but there's something about certain parts of my mom's family that are not inclusive.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm kind of reaching a certain point where I've been saying it forever, but there's a certain point where pushing back properly or pushing back strongly, I'm pretty fucking ready for it because I'm really tired of being miserable at family dinners.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really fucking tired of it.
Yeah.
I'm really tired of hearing dramatic bullshit run through, and I'm really...
Well, you see, life is short. You see just how short life is.
Well, I've seen life short in ways that aren't 50 years old.
Yeah.
I have unfortunately had to cut down people. I have had to discover young people that are my age. Like I just had a friend, motorcycle, light post, NFL night, Super Bowl night.
Look what you went through with your garage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And too many people discredit those experiences based on age. A lot of people don't think about this, okay? But, I have a way that I look at life that's a little different for age.
Yeah.
Because in the 8th grade, I lived in a children's hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And while there were doctors and nurses there that told me, oh, you go to school at this time, you do PT at this time, dinners at this time, there's still a certain amount of decision making and independence that you're forced into because you don't have parents there.
Yeah.
Your parents aren't there.
Yeah.
You have a roommate and you have a nurse.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is on you. So, I have a certain level of decision making that I started having to make when I was in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
Because I was on my own all week long. My parents were not there all week long.
I'm wishing I had this, and this is where I'm only now building up my combative ability as in terms of developing the masculine side of my person. Yeah. That side of you is, and this is a very nuanceable thing, that helps you develop your masculine side of being decisive, of pushing order into the situation, as opposed to sitting in chaos of just birthing new issues and stuff all the time. Don't read into that too much. I was not given a good foundation for making my own decisions because of the household I was in my high school years.
Yes.
And so when it comes time for me to play in the biggest role of my life up to that point, I am not capable of even contending properly to bring my decision-making skills to the table, because the idea of fighting with any of my mom's side of the family, let alone her or her boyfriend, was not a real option.
Yeah.
So as much as there is it should have been you and I wish it could have been you kind of thing, I fully understood where I was, how inept and what a disaster of a person I was, even though I was one of the most stable people in my age group. Like, it's the biggest joke that out of all the good people that I had in my friends group and that I was living with, I was known to be the most stable person there, at least in terms of, structure, finances, job. Like, I was just blessed with being able to have that at the time and to be able to put in order. But it's when it comes back to that, my family. Nice. That's the YouTube side of it. That's the side that's doing the work.
Oh, okay.
Fuck you. So that's where it comes to. I'm just at the time like I just couldn't play that hard.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting to where I'm just done.
Yeah.
Because
life experience brings that on.
Oh yeah.
You know, if your mom was going through that right now, the way you would handle it is even different. Yeah. You know, about every 5 to 10 years, you do.
Yeah.
You know,
I used to.
And the younger you are, the more, you know, it's like 2 to 5 years, and then it's like 5 to 7 years, and then it's like 5 to 10 years, and then it's like every 10 years. You know,
I remember it was every summer.
Yeah.
Every summer, the difference between May and August, every summer was massive.
Because the things you do over the summer,
huge.
It really is.
Yeah.
You know, like for my summers, you know, from the time I could remember, I spent my summers up in Indiana.
Yeah.
You know, I never had a summer job per se, but I did lots of summer jobs, you know, like I had friends that worked there was like an amusement park on the lake that my grandma's house was on and my aunt and uncle's house. They went and worked at the beach. Yeah. I went and worked at the farm, you know, and I did all kinds of things, you know. I would get out, muck out stalks. You know, I would get out and one summer I walked the fields cleaning, you know, one of my cousins married into a family that are like a large seed producers. So they had their test fields. And so they had their, they called them, what were they called? Diener days or something. But it's where they, you know, late in the summer when the crop is at a good height, they bring farmers from all over to see their test fields, you know, and they didn't want to take the equipment through them after a certain point because it could damage some of the field. So you had to get out there and walk to weed the fields.
Yeah.
You know, and there's, you know.
There's something said about grunt work.
There is, you know, that makes you appreciate, you know, again, that working through college and the working, you know, there's a certain amount of sweeping the floors and then doing, you know, I don't know if you remember this. My mom owned a hair salon.
Yeah.
From a young age, I learned to sweep hair, shampoo heads, you know, like, you know, all kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I look at my 6 years at grocery and I was like, that was some foundation right there.
Yeah.
And the bit of serving as well. Like that's just foundation. So like that's where when I was at my last job doing data entry for pharmaceutical, for drug stuff, I knew I'd landed a dream job until I started bringing in the call center work. And I went, no, we're done here. We're done here. I talked to higher ups. I had come to understand clearly the dynamic of that company and who actually had influence and who had made these decisions. So when I literally walked out one day, I knew I wasn't hurting anyone I cared about. And I got all that from doing 6 years at the retail and recognizing their culture of fear, their poor execution of training management, of promoting the right management, of caring about what the individual is doing with their work and letting them have pride and working with that individual on their aisles and holding to standards even to the part-timers. I'd seen enough. I was like, yeah, I don't care how lauded this company is by everyone else's eyes. No, I'll break down to you what that company is. Yeah. I'll break down to you what I got to feel and see over 6 years and talking to people that had been there for 20 years. And people are like, well, it's still a good company to really work for and all those benefits. I'm like, yeah, that's great. I refuse to go to work and be miserable. I refuse
and that's not for everybody. You know, there are some people who love it, but
no. You know, we're beyond what the type of work is. People can have that, but I've said this to multiple. I've tested people's opinions. People will do any type of work for the right person. You'll go throw trash 40 hours a week 7 days a week or whatever. You'll go throw trash for the right person for the right pay. Like, don't let me starve.
Yeah.
But if the pay is agreeable, you'll go work for that person. You'll do extra time for that person.
It's your manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're finally, the culture's finally getting that.
Yeah.
And it's where I tell people, it's like, no. There's one manager that stands out of anywhere that I've worked. There's two. There's the manager I had at Steak and Shake, foundationally fantastic.
Yep.
The next manager, relative father figure, and still really good friend to this day.
Yep. Yep.
And that's just led me to be able to go into, when I went to the pharmaceutical job, my effective boss or anyone that was above me, they were contemporaries. We were on equal footing in terms of how we viewed each other. And they'd come to me to help just brainstorm leadership pieces of how to understand their personality and how to be a better leader and have a better relationship with their people.
See, I had a coach in high school, that I still like. Yeah. We still talk. The family is fantastic.
Yeah.
That put a lot of that, Yeah. Like my parents gave me a work ethic.
Yeah.
My cousins gave me a work ethic.
Yeah.
Because I always looked up to like your dad and your, uncles and that kind of thing, and then, my coach put a work ethic in there.
Yeah.
And, I'm never someone that's not my job.
Yeah.
That's not my personality. But a manager, the manager that you have or your boss that you have, however you call them, they can help to determine if you do your job and you do more, or you do your job and then, that's not my job.
Yeah.
If you have a manager that gets in there and works with you, work hard.
Cool.
Whether it's your job or not, you're going to get in there because you're working for the greater good.
Yeah.
But if you have a manager or corporate who is
controlling every piece.
Yes. Who basically is micromanaging every, moment of every day. No, you're going to get this is my job and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's where when corporate does the influence and you're looking at your manager, like, where did this come from? It's like, it came from corporate. And I was like, well,
And see, you also, there's managers, and I've seen this. There are managers who say, oh, it came from corporate. When in reality,
it's from them.
It's from them. But they use that because they don't have the balls to say, no, this is what I want.
Do you ever have a manager use you as a grunt to try to be the good cop, bad cop when trying to explain to, this is going to be hyper specific. I had a grocery manager who couldn't tell a worker that they couldn't do this other type of work because they couldn't even accomplish the first batch of work. Like, they couldn't tell it to him straight. And then once that person leaves to go do what they're supposed to do, or he gave them the right to go do the more complex one, look at me, he's like, where the fuck were you on that? Like, what are you talking about? You're the manager. I am literally a dairy clerk.
Yeah.
I am actually a base level employee that just happens to be full time. It's like, need you to, good cop, bad cop there or something like that. It's like, that's not my job.
No.
That's what you're supposed to do. This was pathetic that you couldn't tell her that because she can't do the job that requires decent planning but heavy lifting versus she couldn't do the other job that is high logistics effectively. The basic breakdown, if you ever go into this retail store, you can figure out which one it is that the closing people that are there from 2 p.m. to 11, there's usually 2 of them every night of the week, okay? And they work together to make sure from 2 p.m. till they leave that the store is healthy, okay? They care, the one person who does the heavy lifting version is drinks, is what it's usually called. They take care of ice, milk, eggs, water, and soda. And anything of those that are on sale, basically. But that's all they care about. The whole the whole water aisle with the seltzers and stuff, they take care of that. Anything that's on the soda aisle, i.e. that company's brand of soda, they take care of. They might take care of the other brands as well, like Coke or Pepsi.
Okay.
Any of the smaller brands that there's not going to be a vendor to come in. That's what that person takes care of. The other person takes care of everything in dry goods that is on sale,
Okay.
which is like 17 aisles basically.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
They
So
have
you
to-
have one person that takes care of 2, and then one that takes care of basically the rest of the aisles.
Yeah. So the person that is doing specials, they have to know everything that's in the dumps. They have to know that everything that's on every single end cap and the tie-ins. You have to be able, as a specials person, you have to be able to walk the whole store, make your notes, and go back and make a full float of everything you're going to need to save the store. And so you have to have a quick, short memory. You have to be able to look at that wall, find everything you need, know the little pieces you're looking for to get the 2 cases out of the 30 cases you got of that pasta sauce. You have to know how to find or hope that the wall was built to get those 2 cases of that niche flavor that's empty.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a bunch of minor nuances, because if you throw those 2 niche cases at the back of the wall or at the bottom of the dump bin, it's at the front of the store,
Right.
that shelf spot is going to be empty for days.
Yeah.
The system knows that you have 12, 24 of those bottles of those pasta sauces. They're just buried.
Yeah.
And you fucked yourself. And then you have to make sure, and you have to deal with customers, and you have to deal with trucks that you're unloading, because you'll set up the dry truck, the 20 pallet truck. You'll put that in the back room. You'll close. You'll put that out on the floor, and you'll deal with also bringing the milk truck in.
Right.
And so, like, the special side and the drinks work together on the truck side and all that, and cleanup and all that. Drinks, way easier. It's heavier.
Yeah.
Because you have to downstack milk or move gallons of water or 24 packs. Specials, very light on your feet. Very light. Very quick to understand, grabbing all these things, knowing what actually sells. Like, it's way higher demand on your mental organization. And if you can't explain that if you can't execute on the simple logistics but heavy lifting of drinks,
You're never going to survive.
You're not going to
over
go
here.
to specials.
No.
And specials are where the money's made. Everything's on sale. People are going to complain about that more than they complain about anything fucking else.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The only time the other aisle is really down is in a hurricane.
Yeah, but that's its own special case.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
No one's mad about that. It's like, hey, just get it out. Let's go. Like,
yeah. Yeah. And even then, they probably bring in someone to help with that because
they're making money.
They're making money.
Huge money on that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
People will empty the people will empty out the sliced meats area. We know they'll empty the water, honey.
Her voice has appeared again.
It's so funny. I remember this I was looking at the produce section at a store. They took everything. Oh no, it was on the internet. They took everything except for like the soy shit.
Oh, that's funny.
Like the soy food.
Yeah.
They took everything but the soy food, or like the veggie cheese or something like that. Like, people will take weird amounts of stuff that are like perishable for hurricanes.
And then they're like, then they want to return it. It's like, no, just take what you need.
No.
You know, and hell, like water, like I don't understand. You know, the only time I buy bottles of water is when we're going camping and you don't have it, you know, as easily accessible.
Yeah.
That's it. Hurricanes, I don't buy bottles of water. I have all kinds of pitchers in my house, and I have, you know.
I've never understood, like, I guess it makes sense when you understand how not healthy Florida water is. Well, we have rain soft now, but like people buy absurd amounts of bottle and gallon water.
Yeah, and all they're doing is filling the landfill with plastic.
Basically.
That's it, you know. But even during a hurricane, the chances of us losing water, the pump station has to go down in order for us to lose water.
Yeah.
And, you know, in 40-something years, in my lifetime, it's never happened.
I think I've actually never lost power at this house. I've only lost power when they've been turning systems back on and shit.
Yeah.
Just quick little, you know, stuff like that. Like out for an hour maybe or something.
Yeah. Anderley and Uncle Mark are out, but, you know, that's an old neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know.
Not good lines.
Mom and Dad were out for like 2 or 3 days each time.
Yeah.
You know, this last big one we flickered.
Yeah.
You know, and by big one I mean Irma, not that little one that
Oh, Dorian.
Yeah, the hyped one.
I threw a post out. I was like, it's been 230 days and I'm still waiting for my week off from Dorian. I'm still waiting for like my week off from work because of Dorian. Like,
yeah.
Yes, dear?
Also, if you are actually that concerned about water, scrub down your tub and fill it up with water.
You know what we do is we fill it with water, but it's for like cooking. You clean it and then you fill it and then you boil it.
Yeah.
And you can use it.
Yeah.
Or for cleaning.
Yeah, your bathtub's a great water storage piece too.
Yeah. When you got to bathe or whatever, you get the water out of the tub and then you
get a bucket.
Use a
sponge
bath.
bath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get a little bucket at a time and you
Easy.
rinse. Yeah.
But, yeah. No.
So
people get stupid.
They do. But
do you know the YouTube side of the stream died?
Did not.
Can you see it on well, no, you can't even watch it online right now.
Correct.
Yeah, because we made it private. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well.
You feel like we're at a good stopping point?
I think we are.
Okay.
We've exhausted all the Dorian we can pull out on account of everything, so.
Yeah.